Chapter 850. What? This kid killed more than a dozen people from the Nangong family and saved you from the hands of old ancestor Nangong? Venerable Wuya was shocked. The difficulty of this matter was something that even he couldn't do. What happened to Lin Yu just now? This venerable one will help you heal. Now is not the time to ask so many questions. Venerable Wuya grabbed Lin Yu's hand, and his tyrannical power turned into a warm current and was about to enter Lin Yu's body. However, a suction force suddenly appeared within Lin Yu's body, directly causing Venerable Wuya's power to lose its balance. Whoosh! Venerable Wuya's power was rapidly being pushed back. Lin Yu immediately pushed the other party away. What is this? Venerable Wuya's eyes widened. If Lin Yu hadn't taken the initiative to push him away just now, he was afraid that his power would be gone. Fortunately, Lin Yu didn't mean to hurt him. The current Venerable Wuya was just a little weak, and he would be fine after resting for a while. Lin Yu knew that it was the devouring starry sky that he had not completely dispersed just now. Coupled with the divine item Heaven Man Oneness Talisman, it formed a mechanism to protect his cultivation. Under this mechanism, if others wanted to invade Lin Yu's cultivation, they would be sucked dry in the first place. It's okay, I'll do it myself. After Lin Yu said that, he motioned for the two of them to leave the room. At this moment, Lin Yuan was also outside, guarding Lin Yu. Lin Yuan's face showed a ferocious expression. At the same time, Venerable Wuya also noticed that something was wrong. There were a few very strong auras that were approaching this place. Everyone left Lin Yu's room. Venerable Wuya frowned and heard Nangong Yu say, "It should be the people of the Nangong family." Nangong Yu's face was full of worry and guilt. If it weren't for her, Lin Yu wouldn't have been injured. It's not just them. Venerable Wuya shook his head. If it was just the people of the Nangong family, it wouldn't matter. But this time, there were at least 5 Heavenly God list powerhouses who came. Zixia Qin Yi requests an audience with Venerable Boundless. Purple Cloud sees Queen of Hell requests an audience with Venerable Boundless. Lin Xiu requests an audience with Venerable Wuya. Outside the barrier, Qin Yi and the others had already arrived. Without waiting for Honorable Boundless to reply, Baijiu hurriedly stepped through the air and arrived. Quick! Inform the captain to leave. This time, all the people from the 4 great clans are here. Baijiu's words shocked everyone. He arrived at the edge of the barrier. The enchantment set up by the divine priest of light actually worked. Venerable Wuya smiled helplessly. As for the others who wanted to enter, they were also blocked outside the barrier. Venerable One, how is Captain? The female king of hell bowed and asked. Venerable Wuya didn't expect that after the battle in the 10-directional world, Lin Yu actually made friends with these people. They knew that people from the 4 great clans were on their way to cause trouble for Lin Yu, but they still dared to stay here and stand on the same side as Lin Yu. This kind of loyalty was already extremely rare. It's fine. This Venerable One has already healed Lin Yu's injuries. His condition is now stable. Venerable Wuya said in a meaningful tone. Anyway, his skills were almost sucked away by Lin Yu just now, so it could be considered healing. If Captain is fine, let's hurry up and leave. Baijiu had just finished speaking when he saw the barrier separating the guest hall from the outside world and snorted angrily. Damn divine priest of light. We can't leave. In the next moment, a powerful pressure came from behind everyone. They're here. As soon as Venerable Wuya's voice fell, several angry voices came from outside the barrier. Lin Yu, get out here. Lin Yu, you killed our family sequence. Our Shiming family, and you are absolutely irreconcilable. Today I, Bei Ma Kuang, will make you pay with your blood. Nangong Yu's pretty face turned pale, and Lin Yuan also felt great pressure. There were others who looked at the sky with solemn expressions. The sky gradually brightened, but the appearance of these people, with endless killing intent, made the sky above the guest hall seem to have fallen into eternal night. Venerable Wuya, hand over Lin Yu, and we can stop killing. Old ancestor Nangong personally led the team, and on both sides were Patriarch Nangong and Nangong Qintian. Nangong Tian also followed beside his father, Nangong Qintian, and whispered. In his eyes, Lin Yu is destined to be a dead man today. Lin Yu is a member of our boundless sea. May I ask what he did to make the masters of the four great clans come in person? Lin Yu killed the sequence of our primitive continent. He is the culprit. We have already learned about this from nephew Nangong Tian. Yes, Lin Yu and old ancestor Nangong did not fall into a disadvantageous position. His combat power can definitely kill our sequence. I didn't expect that he could deceive all of us. It's not just deceiving us. That kid treats all of us as fools. Damn it. The leaders of the four great clans said one after another. Venerable Wuya narrowed his eyes and glanced at Lin Yuan. Is what they said true? Like others, he had never entered the 10-square world, so he naturally did not understand what happened inside. Captain did not do anything wrong. It's them who deserve to die. Before Lin Yuan could answer, Bai Jiu and Yama spoke first. They had not known Lin Yu for long, but Lin Yu's character and ability were enough to convince them. Hearing these words, Venerable Wuya was shocked. It turned out that it was really that kid who did it. Good. He killed so many brats who usually flaunted their power. This wave of operation was his peak moment in the boundless sea. Venerable Wuya was in a good mood. With a righteous face, he said to the other powerhouses of the divine list, this matter was not done by our Lin Yu. Old Crow, you are deliberately shielding him. Whether it was Lin Yu who did it or not, we will know when he comes out. Everyone, be careful. That kid has the combat power of old ancestor Nangong. Don't underestimate him. When old ancestor Nangong heard these words, his old face was already a little unhappy. What do you mean by having the combat power of old ancestor Nangong? He was a dignified old ancestor of a family, but he was reduced to the point of having to compare himself with a junior? Lin Yu is now in seclusion. With this barrier, he can't get out. You guys should go back to where you came from. Venerable Wuya waved his hand. Immediately, the four great clans exploded again. Can't get out? Then who was the person we saw just now? Old Crow, do you take us, the four great clans, for fools? This old crow is as arrogant as Lin Yu. Everyone, go and break his barrier. Venerable Wuya's old face was red with anger. You bunch of bastards, don't keep calling me Old Crow. I am Venerable Wuya. Good. If you want to touch Lin Yu, then come over. Venerable Wuya hooked his finger, provoking the others. Bai Jiu and the others were stunned. Were all the seniors now so willful? Very good. The boundless sea wants to start a war with our four great clans. The patriarch of the Dongwang family stepped out. The power of an early-stage spirit king exploded and landed a palm on the barrier. Break for me. Chapter 851. Rumble. The force of the palm collided with a wizardry barrier, and waves of shocking ripples appeared on the barrier. Dongwang Patriarch alone can break this wizardry barrier. It seems that Dongwang Patriarch is not needed. Everyone was ready to attack the guest hall after the wizardry barrier was broken. But in the next moment, the ripples suddenly shrank after reaching their limit. The power of the palm strike just now was completely reflected back at him at this moment. What? Dongwang Patriarch's face changed, and he immediately stepped back. But the force of the rebound was too strong, and some of the ripples hit him. Puff! He was injured at the initial stage of the spiritual king realm. This, the wizardry barrier set up by the divine priest of light, is so powerful. What a great divine priest of light from the Qingyun domain. The people of the four families looked at each other. Those at the initial stage of the spiritual king realm had no idea what to do. Only the patriarchs at the middle stage of the spiritual king realm stood up at the same time. Everyone, I didn't expect that we could cooperate one day. The wizardry barrier set up by the divine priest of light is no joke. Old Nangong, old Beimoi, old Qiming, don't drag me down. Haha, the boundless sea is relying on the support of the Qingyun domain. Today, let's show them that they can't afford to offend the primitive continent. The four of them attacked at the same time, and even Venerable Wuya frowned. Above the wizardry barrier, the powerful ripples of cultivation crushed down and the entire barrier began to tremble. Lin Yu walked out of the room. Venerable Wuya turned around and was shocked again. "Have you recovered from your injuries?" Venerable Wuya looked at Lin Yu, who was glowing. He was not as weak as he was when he first came back. "I'm fine," Lin Yu said casually, ignoring the shock in Venerable Wuya's heart. At this moment, he looked up at the sky. The wizardry barrier had begun to creak. "Lin Yu, you're finally out?" Patriarch Nangong saw Lin Yu first. The other patriarchs also attacked more viciously when they saw Lin Yu. For a moment, the guest hall building began to collapse under the collision of the two forces. Lin Yu is going to meet the six-winged Divine King in a while. Who would have thought that the people in the prison would personally come to fetch me before the sun had even risen? Smiling faintly, Lin Yu didn't feel nervous at all. It was just that he did not expect that Qin Yi and the rest also came. At this moment, they had adjusted their auras to their strongest state and were ready to fight at any time. "Bastard, don't use the six-winged Divine King to pressure us. Today, even if the six-winged Divine King comes personally, he won't be able to protect you." Lin Yu smirked. "I don't think we need the six-winged Divine King. He's enough." In the distant sky, a figure was tens of thousands of feet away. However, in the next moment, he arrived in the sky above the guest welcoming hall. The moment the barrier shattered, the person waved his hand and appeared in front of Lin Yu. He was even faster than the people from the four great clans. "Do you think you can leave?" The Divine Priest of Light said coldly as he stared at Lin Yu. The Divine Priest of Darkness was right. If he had come a little later, this kid might have escaped in the chaos. "Divine Priest, are you here to bring me to the celestial region?" Lin Yu smiled faintly. "That's right." The Divine Priest of Light moved again and appeared in the sky with Lin Yu. "Divine Priest of Light. Divine Priest, Lin Yu killed our people. No one can leave today." The experts from the four great clans kept roaring, but the Divine Priest of Light didn't care. What he wanted to do now was to bring Lin Yu to the celestial region. "Follow me. Don't play any tricks." With a wave of his hand, the Divine Priest of Light's powerful cultivation turned into an invisible wall and suppressed them. The experts from the four great clans who were chasing after them had no choice but to dodge the wall. "Damn it, Divine Priest of Light, we'll remember this." Old Ancestor Dongwang and Old Ancestor Nangong were furious to the extreme, and so were the experts from the other two clans. After knowing that Lin Yu was the murderer of their sequence, the four great clans had already taken action to deal with Lin Yu. They were worried that someone would stop them, but they didn't expect that Lin Yu was still rescued. "Captain, not only were the people from the four great clans angry, but Qin Yi and the others were even more worried about Lin Yu. They didn't have time to discuss the celestial region with Lin Yu. But Qin Yi could vaguely feel that the expert who appeared in the 10-square world was related to the celestial region, because the 10-square world was under the control of the six-winged Divine King. The appearance of that expert must have been allowed by the Divine King. Then, Lin Yu defeated the expert who appeared in the 10-square world. Now, that Lin Yu went to the celestial region, it was likely that he would be in danger. What should we do? Kill our way to the celestial region? Yama and Lin Yuan said one after another. What is a group of juniors doing? Venerable Wuya snorted coldly, interrupting the thoughts of these people. He looked at Lin Yuan and frowned. The light divine priest took Lin Yu away so anxiously. There must be other reasons. It seems Lin Yu going to the celestial region was not a good thing. If you want to save Lin Yu, tell me everything about the 10-square world. At the same time, Lin Yu and the light divine priest were heading to the celestial region at an extremely fast speed. The phoenix that escorted the celestial region also flapped its wings at this moment, covering the sky and the sun, causing the celestial region to fall into darkness. The wind and thunder gods appeared on top of the phoenix, frowning. It was the first time they saw the light divine priest so nervous. It seems that there will be a good show to watch in the celestial region. Lin Yu, that kid is a bit interesting. He can actually make the light divine priest personally rescue him from the hands of the four great clans. In my opinion, he is afraid that Lin Yu will take advantage of the chaos to run away. At that time, he will not be able to explain himself. Hey, where did the dark divine priest go? Who knows? When did these two high and mighty light divine priests ever put you and me in their eyes? The wind and thunder gods' words revealed their dissatisfaction with the light divine priest. And in a higher position, two figures were already very close to the celestial region. Lin Yu was thinking about how to leave. If necessary, he could use Bai Xiaoli's power to escape. But at the same time, he was curious how powerful the six-winged divine king's body was. Kid, don't do anything stupid. If you go against the six-winged divine king now, only death will await you. Then I won't go. I'll leave it to you. Lin Yu smiled faintly. But before Bai Xiaoli could occupy Lin Yu's body, a figure suddenly appeared in the sky. The figure emitted endless demonic energy. Looking down, his cold eyes locked onto Lin Yu and the light divine priest. Who is it? As the light divine priest spoke, he had already unleashed his power to attack the intruder, because he felt a murderous aura stronger than his. I only want Lin Yu. If you don't want to die, scram. When the black aura demon's cold voice sounded, the light divine priest was enraged. No one had ever dared to speak to him in such a manner. You are courting death. The light divine priest struck out with his palm, but the black aura demon also struck out with his finger. With his finger, thunder and lightning roared in the sky. Hundreds of thousands of lightning bolts formed a finger and pointed at the light divine priest. Chapter 852. What? The divine priest of light's pupils dilated. At this moment, he felt the threat of death. Intruder, so powerful. Rumble. The thunderbolt that seemed to be able to support the heavens and earth touched the divine priest of light's palm energy. In an instant, the palm energy dissipated and the divine priest of light spat out a mouthful of blood. He was a powerhouse ranked 12th on the celestial god list, but at this moment, he was defeated in a single move. His opponent must be an expert in the top 10 of the celestial god list. Go! The divine priest of light was injured and wanted to take Lin Yu away. However, the next moment, the black gas had already appeared in front of the divine priest of light. At this moment, both the divine priest of light and Lin Yu saw who it was. Two horns on his head, green-faced fanged beast, vertical pupils in both eyes. This was a demon god. You are the heavenly demon king of the devil cult. The divine priest of light's voice was hoarse. The fourth on the heavenly god list, the heavenly demon king. It was actually him, but just as the divine priest of light was feeling timid, the heavenly demon king raised his finger again. The divine priest of light had no time to take Lin Yu away. His body burned at an unprecedented speed and instantly disappeared within 1,000 feet. When he reappeared, he was already so far away that the naked eye could not see him clearly. As for the heaven demon king, he grabbed Lin Yu with one hand and headed towards the bottom of the primitive continent. The heaven domain was getting further and further away. Damn it! Damn it! The divine priest of light did not dare to continue the chase. He could only watch as Lin Yu was taken away. This was the first time he had fought in such an aggrieved manner. Why did the heavenly demon king of the devil's sect come to kidnap Lin Yu? The divine priest of light did not think too much about it. Since he was no match for the other party, he could only report this matter to the six-winged divine king as soon as possible. As time passed, more unforeseen events might occur. Was there a battle up there? The gods of wind and thunder were already close to where the divine priest of light was. They had also sensed the powerful ripples of battle. However, just as they were about to catch up, they saw the divine priest of light heading towards the heaven region at an even faster speed. Wait, priestess! The gods of wind and thunder kept shouting, but the divine priest of light didn't even turn his head. Right now, he was more anxious than anyone. After the people from the Qingyun realm streaked across the sky, Venerable Wuya's figure also appeared. The fluctuations of battle. After he understood what had happened, he already knew that the people who appeared in 10 Square World were most likely related to Tianyu. Lin Yu's trip to the heaven domain this time bodes ill rather than well. Therefore, Venerable Wuya decided to follow and head to the heaven region with Lin Yu. Even though he wasn't the six-winged divine king's match, with his status as one of Realm C's 7 great venerables, he still had some use no matter what. It was just that Venerable Wuya had not expected to see a scene that would shock even him. The divine priest of light returned empty-handed. Who did it? Venerable Wuya quietly followed. Meanwhile, in a forest thousands of miles away from here, Lin Yu and the shadow reappeared. The shadow put down Lin Yu, and the latter asked first, "Are you the heavenly demon king of the demonic sect?" He remembered that this was what the divine priest of light had said. Lin Yu had also learned from Chinese intelligence that the Heaven Fiend King was the sect master of the Fiend region, one of the 3 realms and 5 regions. You can go. The Heaven Fiend King didn't say anything else, and Lin Yu couldn't even see his face clearly. Why did you save me? Boring. So bored to the point of offending the Heaven region? The sect master of the Devil region shouldn't be such a busybody. What? You escaped from the hands of the divine priest of light. Aren't you going to escape now? The Heaven Fiend King said coldly. However, Lin Yu smiled faintly. How do you know that I alone won't be able to escape from his hands? The Heaven Fiend King looked at Lin Yu in surprise. However, the shock that Lin Yu gave him was far from limited to this. Lin Yu said again, I'm just curious. The dignified Heaven Fiend King of the demonic sect is actually willing to become the dark divine priest of the Heaven region. When these words came out, even with the Heaven Fiend King's temperament, he was still extremely shocked. Or should I call you the dark divine priest, and then ask clearly, why did you save me and why did you pretend to be the Heaven Fiend King? Lin Yu spread out his hands, looking calm and relaxed, as if he had seen through everything. The dark divine priest couldn't help but laugh. Then he dispersed the black gas that lingered around his body and faced Lin Yu head-on. No wonder you're number 1 on the sequence list. You're really powerful. I believe that even the divine priest of light can't detect my identity, but I can't hide it from you. The dark divine priest's gaze fell on Lin Yu, not only with the appreciation of a senior for a junior. Can you tell me how you saw through me? Lin Yu felt more respect for the dark divine priest. Why would this top expert, who was number 7 on the divine priest of light, respect him? It's just a feeling. Lin Yu answered casually. In fact, this was the second time the system had met the dark divine priest, so it could naturally identify him. What I'm more curious about is, why did you save me? Lin Yu said again. The dark priest had a kind smile on his face. He looked young, but that was because his cultivation level was too high. An existence like the dark divine priest had existed in the Qingyun region for too long. Because you're the only one who can change this universe. The dark divine priest's gaze suddenly deepened. He looked at Lin Yu and wanted to bow deeply. But he knew that Lin Yu still couldn't remember what had happened in the past. Thinking of this, the dark divine priest could only endure and continue speaking in a senior's tone. Do you know that this world isn't the only universe? Outside this vast universe, there are 11 other universes that are as big as the 3 realms and 5 regions. There are a total of 12 universes. Lin Yu didn't say anything. Although he had heard this by Xiaoli once, it didn't stop him from absorbing the dark divine priest's knowledge again. There are 12 universes, but there are only 11 divine state experts. As a result, our 12th universe has always been the weakest and could be swallowed up at any time. A million years ago, after the last divine king, the only divine state expert in the 12 universes, died, no divine king appeared in our 12th universe for a million years. Lin Yu was a little surprised. Divine king? What kind of realm was that? If the 6-winged divine king wasn't a divine king, then what was he? Chapter 853. The previous divine king was the only one in the divine king realm. Only a divine king can be called the over-god of the 12 universes. The dark priest's eyes were filled with respect as he bowed to the sky. After the 10,000 spirit realm, the spirit king realm, the emperor realm, and the saint realm is the divine king realm. The dark priest seemed to be explaining to Lin Yu. He explained patiently. You've seen the spirit king realm experts. I'm also in the Spirit King realm. As for the Emperor realm, it's countless times stronger than the Spirit King realm. There are only a few Emperor realm experts in the 3 realms and 5 domains. Among the Emperor realm experts, the Heavenly Demon King of the demonic sect, the Haoyan Emperor of the Dong Sheng Taoist sect, and the Master of the World Sea. Above the Emperor realm is the Saint realm, the realm closest to the Divine King realm. The Saint realm experts are the strongest in the 3 realms and 5 domains. They're also the strongest on the God ranking and Demon God ranking. The current number 1 on the God ranking, the 6-winged Divine King, is an expert at the peak of the Saint realm. There's also the Sea God Dragon Regana and Lord Heavenly Phoenix on the Demon God ranking, the Origin Monster Archaeosaurus on the Primitive Continent, and the Deting Ancestral Beast that supports the entire Ghost realm. These are the only Saint realm experts I know. The Dark Priest spoke without holding back. At the same time, he hesitated and looked at Lin Yu. There's another person who used to be a Saint realm expert. He's the 3rd on the God ranking and one of the few black-winged geniuses in the Qingyun realm in the past thousands of years. Seeing that Lin Yu did not respond, the Dark Priest continued. The 6-winged Divine King is extremely close to the Divine King realm. But if he wants to step into the Divine King realm, according to the method left behind by the old Divine King, he must sacrifice a large number of lives and even borrow the power of the ancient demon kings of the 10 sacred lands to step into the Divine King realm. If the 6-winged Divine King really attacks, many people will die. The Dark Priest looked at Lin Yu. Seeing that he was still unmoved, he nodded with relief. It seemed that he was indeed different. The 10 square realms abnormality should be caused by the 6-winged Divine King, right? The Dark Priest asked tentatively. Lin Yu smiled. It seems that you all know. There are many smart people, but smart people often like to play dumb. The Dark Priest shook his head helplessly. It seems that the Divine King can't wait any longer. In order to step into the new realm and become a true Divine King, he is willing to sacrifice anyone, including his younger brother. Lin Yu frowned for the first time after the Dark Priest finished speaking. Little brother. Lin Yu remembered the strange words the 6-winged deity king said to him when his consciousness descended on the 10 square world. For some reason, Lin Yu clenched his fists when he heard this. Who is it? The Dark Priest's expression suddenly changed, and he struck a palm towards the dark forest on their right. In an instant, hundreds of trees in the forest were destroyed and turned into ashes, and behind one of the trees, the figure of Venerable Wuya could be seen. Although he had come here, he did not dare to rashly approach. Instead, he hid far away and looked for an opportunity to save Lin Yu. But he did not expect the other party to be so observant. At this moment, Venerable Wuya's hands were in front of him, blocking the Dark Priest's palm. However, his body could not help but retreat several steps. Venerable Wuya's expression was serious. This person was so strong. He stepped on the large rock behind him. Using his own special technique, he transferred the Dark Priest's strength from his arms to the rock. At the same time that Venerable Wuya's attack was neutralized, not only was the large boulder behind him, even the small mountain behind the boulder was covered in dense cracks. If such a powerful force were to hit a body, it would have been torn apart no matter how strong it was. Spirit King Realm. The Dark Priest's fingers formed a claw, and a suction force erupted, locking onto Venerable Wuya. When the other party came closer, he saw that it was actually Venerable Wuya, ranked 30th on the God ranking. Since you heard something you shouldn't have, then die. The Dark Priest's killing intent surged, but in the next moment, a figure blocked Venerable Wuya. He won't say a word. Lin Yu's calm voice sounded, and he looked at the Dark Priest with determination. The latter also looked at him in surprise. You want to protect him? He brought me to the sequence battle. Without him, I wouldn't be standing here. Lin Yu clearly distinguished between kindness and hatred. If Venerable Wuya did not bring him, he would not have been able to merge with Bai Xiaoli. In other words, he had given him a great opportunity. Lin Yu, be careful. This person is very strong. Venerable Wuya could not recognize him. He only saw a ball of demonic energy surging around the Dark Priest, blocking his appearance. Venerable Wuya looked at Lin Yu blocking in front of him, and his heart was moved. For so many years, the younger generation of the Boundless Sea only wanted to curry favor with him so that he could promote them. However, Lin Yu was the first to protect Venerable Wuya. "It's fine. Venerable, help me with something." When Lin Yu saw that the Dark Priest had stopped, he knew that the Dark Priest wasn't an unreasonable person. Furthermore, Lin Yu felt a sense of familiarity with him. "Speak. Help me tell Chini and the others that I'm here." But Venerable Wuya was afraid that if he left, Lin Yu would be killed by this expert in front of him. If he wanted to make a move, he would have done so long ago. Lin Yu knew the other party's concerns and casually explained. After listening, Venerable Wuya also understood. "Then be careful, kid." Lin Yu did things with a sense of propriety. Since he asked him to leave, Venerable Wuya believed that Lin Yu had the confidence to protect himself. Thus, he nodded and turned to leave. Only the Dark Priest and Lin Yu were left. The former continued, "I can save you once, but I don't have the confidence to save you a second time. If the six-winged Divine King personally makes a move, even I understand." Lin Yu did not wait for him to finish and asked, "But I don't believe that he is an invincible existence in the 3 realms and 5 regions. The world is vast, and it will be a place for me to stay." The Dark Priest smiled. "That's right. There are 3 existences. I can't say that they can completely resist the 6-winged Divine King, but they can at least protect your life." "Who?" "Lord Heavenly Phoenix, number 1 on the Demon God list. The other black-winged Divine King from back then, and the Vairocana Buddha from the primitive continent." Chapter 854. The number 1 on the Demon God list, Sky Phoenix, Vairocana Buddha, Black-winged Divine King. Lin Yu felt that these 3 names were both unfamiliar and familiar. Seeing that Lin Yu was deep in thought, the Dark Priest continued, "It's a pity that Sky Phoenix has been imprisoned by the 6-winged Divine King. He trusted the wrong person and thought that beasts and humans could coexist peacefully. Who knew that Lord Sky Phoenix, who symbolized the strongest combat power on the Demon God list, would also be tricked?" The Dark Priest couldn't help but sigh. Fortunately, the number 2 on the Demon God list, Sea God Dragon, and the number 3 Archaeosaurus have been hiding for 100 years. They didn't show up, which gave the 6-winged Divine King some fear. As for the number 3 on the Demon God list, Black-winged Divine King, the Dark Priest looked at Lin Yu. "I'm afraid he's not as strong as before. It's not realistic to rely on him to deal with the 6-winged Divine King." He seemed to be talking about Lin Yu. The Dark Priest seemed to be implying something, but Lin Yu didn't care. Black-winged Divine King had nothing to do with him. Soon, the Dark Priest mentioned the 3rd person. "Rumor has it that the Vairocana Buddha has lived for as long as the 12th universe. His cultivation has reached an immeasurable level. He might even be stronger than the 6-winged Divine King. However, like the Sea God and Archaeosaurus, the Vairocana Buddha has lived in seclusion for a long time. However, he's the only helper you can find." The Dark Priest's goal was clear. If Lin Yu wanted to protect himself, he had to rely on the Vairocana Buddha. "The 6-winged Divine King wants to see you. I'm sure you know the reason." The Dark Priest patted Lin Yu's shoulder. "The Vairocana Buddha is a friend of the previous Divine King. After the previous Divine King died, he disappeared and didn't ask about the matters of the 3 realms and 5 regions. Therefore, it might be difficult for you to find him. The first step is to go through the territories guarded by the 4 great families." The 4 great families again. Lin Yu rubbed his forehead and smiled helplessly. He had just escaped from the hands of the 4 great clans, and he would probably have to go back in the future. Seeing Lin Yu's worry, the Dark Priest comforted him. "You have a natural advantage. You don't have to worry about being recognized." Lin Yu looked over and heard the Dark Priest continue. "Your cultivation can be naturally hidden. Perhaps you don't know the reason." He looked into the distance with deep meaning, and a look of reminiscence appeared on his face. A long time ago, a genius appeared in the Heaven region. He was hailed as an existence that could surpass the old Divine King, and with his monstrous talent, he created a cultivation method This cultivation method fuses the body, cultivation, and divine sense into one, breaking through the shackles of cultivators only being able to cultivate one of them. This cultivation method is known as a taboo and has been passed down for thousands of years. However, only a handful of people have successfully cultivated it. This is because the chakra diagram of this cultivation method is extremely strange. It requires the power of the stars to fuse with the meridians of the human body. One person is a universe. The dark priest continued, such a genius was destroyed because of his kindness. The throne that should have belonged to him was taken away, and those who supported him were all imprisoned in the eternal purgatory. There were also some who supported him in their hearts and looked forward to the day when he returned as the divine king, but before that, they could only be regarded as traitors and be despised. After saying this, Lin Yu could see the dark priest's angry expression. Such an expert had actually lost his composure because of that genius. The next moment, the dark priest looked at Lin Yu. Do you understand? These people who pretended to surrender didn't really betray us, but they needed to survive. They needed to endure and accumulate their strength. They were imprisoned and suffered in the purgatory. They lived in torment every day, but they were also loyal. The difference was that they used their own methods to pledge their loyalty to the young divine king. Lin Yu's heart tightened. The dark priest's words made him nervous. It was as if he was talking to him, but he wasn't talking to him. This strange feeling made Lin Yu feel uneasy, which was very rare. His voice was a little hoarse, as if these words had traveled through thousands of years to reach the dark priest's ears. I understand. I understand. These three simple words caused tears to well up in the eyes of the dark priest. Chapter 855. Thank you. The dark priest looked at Lin Yu with sincerity and slowly uttered these two words. He didn't seem to want to give up. Then, he said thoughtfully, other than the six-winged divine king, the second black-winged divine king from 1,000,000 years ago was the strongest existence. His elder brother, the six-winged divine king, was afraid of him. The old divine king even said that he would leave behind an inheritance after his death. Only the black-winged divine king could inherit that inheritance. Lin Yu's expression didn't change at all. The dark divine priest continued, I don't know where the inheritance is, but I'm sure that the inheritance still exists. Otherwise, if the six-winged divine king obtained the inheritance, he would be able to step into the divine king realm. There would be no need to mobilize so many people. He tried too hard, but he couldn't step into the divine king realm. That's why the 10-direction world happened. Lin Yu asked, if the six-winged divine king knew that only the black-winged divine king could inherit the inheritance, wouldn't he be jealous? The dark priest nodded. Of course he would be jealous. He was so jealous that he lost all rationality. If not, how could he have killed the old divine king and his younger brother? The dark high priest gritted his teeth. Even the Vairocana Buddha had high hopes for the black-winged divine king. That young divine king carried the hopes of countless people and was the only hope of the old divine king. It's a pity that the six-winged divine king, he had so much power? Lin Yu didn't understand. If the young divine king was protected by so many people and grew up under the old divine king's wings, how did the six-winged divine king kill him? He didn't, but someone outside the 12 universes did. I remember that the sword from beyond the heavens pierced the old divine king's body. The dark priest paused and looked at Lin Yu. Lin Yu was still as calm as ever. He knew that he couldn't act rashly. Captain, soon, news of Qin Yi and Bai Jiu's arrival came from afar. Other than the 10-direction world team, Nangong Yu also came. Nangong Yu obediently followed Qin Yi and the female king of hell. The intelligent Qin Yi seemed to have noticed some clues. She knew that the relationship between Lin Yu and Nangong Yu was not simple. Regarding this, she could only smile knowingly. After all, Lin Yu was too outstanding. Even if such a man did not flirt, women would still be unconsciously attracted to him. If you want to go against the six-winged divine king, you have to protect yourself first. The great solar boundless Buddha Lord is the best choice. However, before that, You have to head to the core region of the primitive continent. The Dark Priest didn't seem to want others to know that he had made a move. He bowed deeply to Linyu. With his back to everyone, his figure dissipated. Seeing this, Linyu didn't know what the other party's intentions were, but since the other party had helped him, he returned the gesture with a fist salute. Qin Yi and the others arrived, but they were surprised to see the Dark Priest leave. But seeing that Linyu was fine was the most important thing. And Linyu didn't take the initiative to say too much. He only told Venerable Wuya that he would be heading to the core region of the primitive continent. In fact, the place where they were now was also within the primitive continent. It was just a place at the edge of the Sequence Emperor city. And the primitive continent was so big that it was many times larger than the Sky Desert universe. It was called a continent. In reality, it was a vast universe. After Linyu told them where he was going to go next, Venerable Wuya's face revealed a hint of loneliness. If Linyu stayed in the boundless sea, it would naturally be the best thing. However, this was only good for the boundless sea. Venerable Wuya knew that Linyu's goal was far from the boundless sea, so he was destined to leave. A small pond couldn't keep a flood dragon, and Linyu's talent was already destined when he became the #1 on the sequence ranking, when he slaughtered everyone in the 10-direction world. Do you need me to go with you? He didn't object to Linyu venturing into a bigger world. But Venerable Wuya was still a little worried. But Linyu shook his head. He knew that Venerable Wuya's identity was special. If he followed him, he might attract more attention. And the boundless sea couldn't be without a master. Linyu naturally couldn't be too selfish and let Venerable Wuya be his protector. Linyu already has confidence on this trip, so I don't need to trouble Venerable Wuya to accompany me. Linyu clasped his fists, showing his respect to this senior expert. From the time he left the boundless sea to the primitive continent, Venerable Wuya was his protector. Fine. Venerable Wuya's eyes were still a little disappointed, but he understood that as an expert, he was destined to go to different domains, different battlefields to find his own direction. He couldn't bind Linyu to the boundless sea. Then be careful. All right, the sea god's item. Venerable Wuya looked at the others. Forget it. These people were also Linyu's companions. There was nothing to hide. You have to take good care of it. When necessary, it's your life-saving talisman. Venerable Wuya couldn't help but remind. He looked worried about Linyu. Understood. Linyu clasped his fists again. Seeing this, Venerable Wuya didn't stay any longer, but he still reminded, if you want to go to the core of the primitive continent, you have to go through the 4 great families. Those old guys have a grudge against you, so you have to be careful before you go. It's best if you can cover for them. And recently, because the Nangong family is about to hold the once-in-a-century alchemy conference, there might be more people going to the 4 great families' main cities. Linyu nodded and asked another question out of curiosity. After all, he had left the sequencer city for more than 4 hours. Now that the 4 great families knew that he had been brought to the heavenly region, they wouldn't chase after him for the time being. They would continue to do what they usually did, such as the alchemy conference. I heard that the alchemy conference will be held as scheduled, but the purpose is a little different. Venerable Wuya couldn't help but pat Linyu's shoulder. The latter was confused. It's all because of Nangong Tian. You destroyed his cultivation, but Nangong Tian is the #1 genius of the Nangong family. The Nangong family will definitely use the resources of the alchemy conference to help him recover his cultivation. Venerable Wuya sighed. If it weren't for the fact that the boundless sea is just a barren land, I might be able to hold an alchemy conference for you. Linyu, I appreciate it, but if Nangong Tian wants to recover his cultivation, he has to ask me. Linyu smiled faintly, but Venerable Wuya seemed to be able to foresee Nangong Tian's tragic future. He obviously remembered that Nangong Tian had brought the people of the 4 great families last night to accuse Linyu of being the murderer of the sequencer of the primitive continent. Linyu would definitely not let that kid off, given his vengeful personality. As for the other grudges, the Nangong family, Nangong Yu, and Nangong Ming, it might also be the fuse that would lead to the conflict between Linyu and the Nangong family in the future. Seems like you'll be stirring up some big trouble during this trip, Venerable Wuya said with a smile. Venerable Wuya said with a smile, his eyes filled with admiration. That's good as well. If we cultivators live mediocre lives, we might as well just die. If we can make some big moves, we'll be able to make this world remember us. Chapter 856. Agreed. Lin Yu smiled and only said 2 words. The two couldn't help but look at each other. Seemingly understanding each other's thoughts, Venerable Wuya also left. Only the 10 Direction Worlds team was left. Qin Yi came forward and stood with Nangong Yu on Lin Yu's left and right. Are we going to the primitive continent's core area? Qin Yi asked obediently. Nangong Yu's eyes were filled with worry. Brother Lin Yu, if it's because of me, let's not go. She was worried that Lin Yu wanted to avenge her, but it was too risky. Lin Yu had already taken a risk for her yesterday, so Nangong Yu was still worried. We have to go, but we can't just go like this. Lin Yu smiled helplessly. This time, he caused too much of a commotion in the sequencing Emperor City. So much so that his face and name were destined to become a big problem for the Ford-rate families. Even now, the news they received was that Lin Yu was brought to the Heaven region. Lin Yu concluded that with the light divine priest's pride, he was scared off by the dark divine priest who pretended to be the heavenly demon king, and even lost Lin Yu. The light divine priest wouldn't reveal this matter so quickly. Otherwise, where would he put his face? Before we go, I need to change my face. After Lin Yu finished speaking, he pressed a few acupoints on his face. He had tried the same trick in Zhang Qingshue's room when he was in the vast Moon Dynasty. At that time, Lin Yu was even more ridiculous. He directly turned into a woman and changed his name to Lin Xian. He even attracted the attention of a LSP. This time, Lin Yu didn't need to be so ridiculous. He directly changed his face. From now on, I'll be called Qin Wunyan. Lin Yu glanced at Qin Yi. She also had the surname Qin. From now on, we'll call each other brother and sister. At this point, Qin Yi stuck out her tongue as if she was protesting. Wouldn't that mean that she would have to keep a distance from Lin Yu in the future? If she kept her distance, then Nangong Yu. What's wrong, little sister? Lin Yu smiled casually. Qin Yi glared at him. It's okay, big brother. When Nangong Yu saw Lin Yu's new appearance, she couldn't help but laugh. At this moment, Lin Yu looked at the others. I don't need it. No one knows me. Yama was a little reluctant. She could see that Lin Yu was going to disguise them. I can represent the people of the demon realm. So, as soon as Baiju finished speaking, Lin Yu's gaze was already on him. No, we have to change our appearances. Everyone has to change their appearances. Otherwise, it's easy to screw up. Lin Yu was well aware of the danger of this trip. Once they were discovered by a family, they would face the joint attack of the 4 major families. In a situation where there was no conflict of interest and only hatred, the people of the 4 major families would definitely come to deal with Lin Yu. What Lin Yu had to do now was to create benefits while hiding his identity. As long as he was linked to the interests of 1 or 2 of the families, then Lin Yu would have a backer. The people of the other families would not be so unscrupulous if they wanted to touch him. Seeing how determined Lin Yu was, the others had no choice but to give up resistance. They allowed Lin Yu to do something to their faces. The female king of hell became even sexier. Bai Jiu became more feminine, and Lin Yuan had a few more beards, and his whole person became rougher. I don't want it, damn it, bastard. Lin Xiao roared in anger, because Lin Yu was doing something to his hair. Among them, only Lin Xiao had white hair. This kind of hair color was too eye-catching. Don't worry, this kind of purple is very beautiful. Lin Yu did not care about that, and used a special hair dye on Lin Xiao's head. In the blink of an eye, Lin Xiao's hair color had changed. Purple and Lin Xiao's devilish eyes. Also, his appearance had changed and was no longer similar to Lin Yu's face. It made Lin Xiao feel that his sexual orientation was unclear. He was even more feminine than Bai Jiao. Damn it, change back for me. Lin Xiao was angry, but Lin Yu immediately gave the 3 women a look. It's pretty good. Yes, it's much better than your previous hair color. I didn't expect you to be even more handsome than Captain. Qin Yi, Nangong Yu, and Yama said one after another. Lin Xiu calmed down after hearing the comfort of the three women. He reluctantly accepted his current appearance, but he secretly swore in his heart that this was the first time he did it for Lin Yu, and also the last time. Everyone changed their appearances and headed to the core area of the four major families. The primitive continent is too big. It will probably take a few more days. And because of the alchemy convention, many experts should be rushing there. Bai Jiu said to Lin Yu. He was from the primitive continent and knew some things. Don't you need to go back to the Devil Domain to report about the sequence battle? No. I have absolute freedom in the Devil Domain, unlike the four major families who are very feudal. Bai Jiu said in disdain. Lin Yu seemed to have sensed that there were many differences between the 3 realms and 5 regions. This time, I reckon that the previous sequence battle will also appear. The previous sequence battle? Lin Yu did not understand. Bai Jiu opened his eyes wide. You don't think that the sequence battle has only been held once, right? I thought so. Lin Yu replied casually. He had just arrived. How would he know? Bai Jiu had a helpless look on his face. Even if Yama and the others were from this world, it seemed that because they came from the realm C, they were not well informed. Naturally, they also came over. Seeing this, Bai Jiu realized that he was leading a group of pure newbies. He panicked a little. Cough. Since that's the case, let me give you a lesson. The sequence battle has been held 9 times. Captain, which is our batch, is the 9th. Before this, there were 8 sequence battles. And in those 8 sequence battles, there were also many experts. For example, the number 1 of the 5th sequence battle was Rain God of the Heaven region and Cloud God of the 6th sequence battle. These 2 people are rumored to have the strength to step into the Spirit King realm, but they have been suppressing it and are unwilling to break through. I don't know the specific reason. As for the sequence battles above the 6th sequence battle, many of them have already stepped into the Spirit King realm or have fallen in the changing of eras. Bai Jiu sighed and said solemnly, our main opponents should be the sequence battles from the 7th sequence battle. These people are still on the sequence battle and are also experts below the Spirit King realm. Most of the Spirit King realm experts have been included in the Heavenly God ranking by the 6-winged Divine King. Of course, there are exceptions. However, the experts on the Heavenly God ranking will not easily make a move. Once they make a move, it might attract the attention of other experts on the Heavenly God ranking. Therefore, the higher the position of the expert, the more careful they are. Chapter 857. As for the 7th batch, there are a few powerful characters. They are all at the peak of the 10,000 spirit realm and can even step into the Spirit King realm at any time. These people are stronger than the ones we met before. Bai Jiu thought for a while and said a few names. The first place of the 7th batch is Taoist Lingbao from the Dongsheng sect. The second place is Taoist Taishang from the Dongsheng sect. These 2 people are good at alchemy. The people from the Dongsheng sect always pretend to be righteous, but they do a lot of dirty things. We have to be careful if we meet them. Everyone remembered these 2 names, and White 9 continued. As for the 8th ranking, the first place is the Ghost Queen of the Ghost Realm, Mo Qianqian. That woman is extremely good at dealing with men, and many men have fallen under her charms. Back then, my master almost lost his life in her hands. Rumor has it that Mo Qianqian is also at the peak of the Myriad Soul Realm, but she hasn't reached the Spirit King realm. Hearing this, the 3 girls couldn't help feeling embarrassed. As for the second place, it is Subhoodie from the Dongsheng sect. He is the backbone of the Dongsheng sect, and is even stronger than the 4 great families. The third place is Yuja Kitami, the beloved daughter of the Beima family's patriarch, Beima Bing. It is said that Yuja Kitami is good at alchemy. If she wasn't obsessed with alchemy, she wouldn't lose to Nangong Tian. Unfortunately, the Nangong family is stronger than the Beima family, which seems to have hindered Yuja Kitami's growth. The fourth place. Bai Jiu harumphed coldly. It's the Ghost Lady. Her younger sister, the Ghost Fairy, is the one who attacked us in the 10 Directions world. Everyone naturally understood the final result. Ghost Fairy was killed by Bai Jiu. If Ghost Lady knew about this, she might even take revenge for her sister when they met her. As for the others, some of them are already dead. Baiju seemed to have said everything he knew. Lin Yu, Qin Yi, and the others quickly remembered the names and characteristics of these people. It should still be a few days' journey. What's that in front of us? Yama asked as her eyes lit up. What's that? Waves of battle could be felt. As the crowd got closer, they saw an expert in Taoist robes waving his hand, and a huge mountain appeared between his eyebrows. There were eyes in the mountain, and when they opened, it was like a mountain monster. A man and a mountain, they are immortals. Those below immortals are all ants. With a flip of his hand, a huge mountain came crashing down. In front of him was a woman. The woman's face was deathly pale. Clearly, she had suffered some injuries. At this moment, when she faced the huge mountain, her pretty face became a lot more solemn. So what if you have a heaven-grade 10,000 soul seal? The woman gritted her teeth. An ray of light also erupted from between her eyebrows. The multicolored light condensed into a 5-colored phoenix and charged directly towards the mountain. Brother, should we help her? Qin felt that the Taoist was extremely hateful. She asked Lin Yu, what's there to help? Lin Yu couldn't be bothered with these personal grudges. However, Baiju reminded him, if I'm not wrong, this woman should be from the Baima family. After hearing that, Lin Yu raised his eyebrows. He was worried that he couldn't find a reason to sneak into the alchemy conference. Does she have a high status in the Baima family? Baiju nodded. Yes, she's the one I just mentioned. She's third place on the 8th sequence ranking, the beloved daughter of the Baima family's patriarch, Baima Bing Yuja Kitami. That's a good choice. Lin Yu smiled faintly. His expression already let Qin Yi and the others know that Lin Yu would help. Yuja Kitami, a mere 5-colored phoenix, and an Earth-grade 10,000 soul seal are like throwing an egg against a rock. This poor Taoist advises you to obediently hand over the reverse marrow reincarnation pill recipe. Otherwise, this poor Taoist will not be polite. The Taoist snorted coldly. When he saw that Yuja Kitami had no intention of surrendering, his killing intent rose. The mountain demon 10,000 soul seal collided with the 5-colored phoenix. The tyrannical impact formed ripples in mid-air. Yuja Kitami spat out a big mouthful of blood and staggered back. Rumor has it that Yuja Kitami is still a virgin. Today, this poor Taoist not only wants the recipe, but also wants to verify your identity. The Taoist laughed. Baiju revealed the other party's identity in front of Lin Yu at the same time. This person is the 2nd place on the 7th sequence ranking, Taoist Taishan. Dong Sheng Taoist. Yes, that group of old Taoists are usually righteous. I didn't expect them to bully people here. Stop him, Lin Yu ordered. In an instant, Qin Yi, Baiju, Lin Yuan, Lin Xiu, and Yama, the 5 of them attacked at the same time. Who are you people? 4 10,000 soul realm experts and a half-step 10,000 soul realm expert. Taoist Tai Shang didn't expect to be surrounded by these people. We are from the low-key sect. Qin Yi said coldly and took the lead. You're courting death. What low-key sect? I have never heard of it. This poor Taoist is the left elder of Dong Sheng Taoist. But before Taoist Tai Shang finished speaking, everyone had already attacked. He didn't have time to speak and braced himself to resist. Seeing this, Yuja Kitami took advantage of the chaos to escape. She fell into the dense forest below and moved forward quickly. But her path was quickly blocked by a young man. Get out of the way. Yuja Kitami thought that Lin Yu had also come out to snatch her things. With a palm strike, the tyrannical airflow directly shattered the trees around Lin Yu. She originally thought that she could repel Lin Yu, but Lin Yu just casually moved and dodged this palm strike. Just as this palm swept past Lin Yu, Yuja Kitami's arm was suddenly grabbed by Lin Yu. That incomparably strong hand strength suddenly clasped her arm, causing Yuja Kitami to be shocked. This person was actually a myriad spirit realm combat cultivator. She wanted to struggle, but her arm couldn't exert any strength at all. She was directly thrown down by Lin Yu. My people will help you stop the enemy. Isn't it inappropriate for you to run away like this? Just as Lin Yu's voice fell, there was a bang, and Yuji Kitami was already smashed to the ground by him. Dust flew everywhere, and the trees were shattered. Lin Yu looked down at Yuji Kitami, who was slowly crawling up from the ground. She stared at Lin Yu. "Who are you?" "Low-profile sect, Qin Wunyan." "Never heard of it." Yuji Kitami looked at Lin Yu warily. "What do you want?" "It doesn't matter if you haven't heard of it. Soon, this name will shine in the alchemy conference," Lin Yu said confidently. "But the premise is that I need the qualifications to participate in the alchemy conference. So I saved you." Without beating around the bush, Lin Yu directly stated his purpose. Hearing this, Yuji Kitami felt relieved. "You want me to bring you to the alchemy conference?" She looked at Taoist Grand Supreme, who was gradually retreating behind her. Then, she looked at Lin Yu and felt that the person in front of her was indeed quite capable. As for Lin Yu's purpose, Yuji Kitami was used to it. The four great clans were the strongest forces in the primitive continent, and the alchemy conference was a grand event held by the four great clans. Every time it was held, there would be people from small forces who would try to curry favor with the four great clans. They hoped to have the opportunity to enter the conference. Even if they could only get a low ranking, it would be enough for their small clans to improve for a period of time. "That's all. That's all." Lin Yu nodded. Yuji Kitami thought to herself that if Lin Yu was capable, he would be a good helper. "Deal." Chapter 858. Deal. Lin Yu smiled knowingly. It seemed that it was so comfortable to talk to smart people. And this Bei Ma Yu was clearly a smart woman. But even though they seemed to have reached a consensus now, Yuji Kitami's eyes were still a little hostile. Lin Yu knew this woman was still wary of him. But this was normal. It didn't matter. Lin Yu was best at making women let down their guard against him. So, Lin Yu smiled slightly, glanced at Taoist Taishang, who had already escaped, and didn't chase after him. Seeing this, Yuji Kitami was a little angry. Your people could have made him stay. Why? "I'll help you when our partnership deepens a little more." He didn't overdo it. He didn't give the other party a chance to be completely comfortable. This was one of Lin Yu's methods. Yuji Kitami originally thought that if Lin Yu's people could take down Taoist Taishang, then she could directly interrogate him to find out who had leaked her whereabouts. But now that Lin Yu had let him go, how was she going to interrogate him? "Do you want to know why you were targeted by him?" Lin Yu asked casually. Yuji Kitami's bright eyes trembled. "You know? I don't know." Lin Yu shrugged, which made Yuji Kitami speechless. "But since you and I are partners now, your business is naturally my business. If you were targeted, then I might be targeted in the future." Lin Yu's words made Yuji Kitami feel a little better. This might be the feeling of partners in the same boat. But the next moment, "I don't want to be implicated by you, so you better tell me all your enemies once, then I can avoid them." Lin Yu's second sentence directly made Yuji Kitami want to die. There was something wrong with this man. He said that he was a good person, but he wasn't a good person. Although he was a bad person, he had helped her. Damn it. No one knows my whereabouts, and I don't have any enemies. I, Yuji Kitami, am an upright person. Then how did you get hunted down? Lin Yu interrupted the other party's words, not giving Bei Ma Yu a chance to calm down. Yuji Kitami blushed, unable to refute. How would I know? This time, I went to the Pill King's temple to ask for a pill manual. No one knows about this. Lin Yu smiled. You are the pearl in the palm of the Bei Ma clan. How can no one know about your schedule? His words woke her up from her dream. Yuji Kitami was startled. Are you saying that someone in the family betrayed me? Her expression was solemn. Perhaps this was the only possibility. Yuji Kitami recalled that Taoist Taishang had ambushed her here in advance. If someone hadn't tipped him off, how would Taoist Taishang have known that she would pass by here? But if it was really as Lin Yu said, then she was in even greater trouble. Someone in the family wanted to plot against her. If she didn't find out who the other party was in time, she would definitely have worries in the alchemy conference and wouldn't be able to fight wholeheartedly. Who do you think could have betrayed me? Yuji Kitami didn't know why, but the man in front of her gave her the feeling that he knew everything. And when she subconsciously asked this question, she also knew that she had said the wrong thing. Forget it. You're just someone from a nameless small sect. How would you know about the 4 great clans? I also know a little about the 4 great clans. Lin Yu knew that if he continued to let Beima Yu look down on him at this time, then in the future, their cooperation might be at a disadvantage. In Beima Yu's eyes, her impression of him would only remain as a person from a small sect. Yuji Kitami wouldn't let him participate in many important decisions. Lin Yu didn't like this kind of cooperation. What do you know? Yuji Kitami didn't believe him. However, Lin Yu only smiled faintly and raised his eyebrows. The Nangong family has a motive for this alchemy conference, which is to help Nangong Tian recover from his injuries. This, Yuji Kitami was a little surprised by Lin Yu. Logically speaking, the big forces in the primitive mainland should have known about this. However, the people from a small sect wouldn't have known about it because the news came from the Sequencer City. Those small sects didn't have the right to enter the Sequencer City. I also know that Nangong Tian's injuries were caused by someone called Lin Yu, who also came in first place in the sequence battle. Lin Yu said again. Yuji Kitami's breathing quickened. Obviously, Lin Yu was right. As for your people, many of the people in the sequence of the 4 big families of the primitive mainland died in the hands of Lin Yu. Back then, the Laozu of the 4 big families probably already took action against Lin Yu. However, it seems like Lin Yu didn't fall into the hands of your Laozu. Am I right? Lin Yu looked at Yuji Kitami again and said as if he had seen through her thoughts. At this moment, Beima Yu's heart was in turmoil. This person didn't come from the low-profile sect. A small sect that she had never heard of? How could he be so well-informed? Lin Yu's departure from the Sequencer City and what happened there only happened 2 days ago. Even Beima Yu had only just found out about this news. However, this person knew about it too. Moreover, he seemed to know about the details. Seeing this, Lin Yu knew that he had entered the other party's mind. I think the 4 big families each have their own agenda for this alchemy conference. The Nangong family obviously wants to help Nangong Tian. However, Nangong Tian used to be the top genius of the 4 big families. Now, that half of him has died, the other 3 big families are definitely not willing to let him return his peak. Moreover, many of the younger generation of the 3 big families died in the sequence battle. How could they allow Nangong Tian to recover? He would be the biggest threat to the 3 big families. As soon as he said that, Yuji Kitami couldn't stay calm anymore. However, Lin Yu still didn't give up. He took a step forward. He didn't need to go to the Beima family personally to know the character of the Laozu family's Laozu. If I'm not wrong, the Beima family attaches great importance to the alchemy conference this time. They even want you to succeed and stop Nangong Tian. Am I right? Every word went straight into Yuji Kitami's heart. She couldn't speak for a long time. Meanwhile, Lin Yu was already 3 feet away from her. It was as if she could hear Lin Yu's breathing. Yuji Kitami looked up and saw Lin Yu saying again, "Do you still think that I don't understand the 4 big families?" Yuji Kitami couldn't answer him. She didn't even have the strength to. All right, can you tell me what happened now? Lin Yu crossed his arms in front of his chest. If you're in trouble, you'll implicate me too. We're in the same boat now. Chapter 859. I just received a notification from Yun Lei, my younger brother. He told me that there is a recipe for the reverse marrow reincarnation elixir in the Elixir King Temple. Reverse marrow reincarnation elixir? Lin Yu touched his chin. When he was in the Sky Desert universe, he had seen quite a number of recipes, and the recipes of this world were similar to the ones in the Sky Desert universe. When he was in the Boundless Ocean, he had already tried his alchemy skills for the first time. He reckoned that his alchemy skills had not decreased in this world. Grade 7 pill. If I can concoct it at the Grand Alchemy meeting, I will have a chance to win. Yuji Kitami's eyes were filled with determination. Clearly, Lin Yu could tell that she was determined to win the Grand Alchemy meeting and the Reverse Marrow Reincarnation Elixir. Having determination was a good thing. If Yuji Kitami was motivated, Lin Yu would have a higher chance of finding traces of the Great Sun Boundless Buddha. He was most afraid of meeting partners who did not want to improve themselves. That was his biggest headache. Where is the Elixir King Temple? Lin Yu asked casually. Yuja Kitami raised her eyebrows. Didn't you say that you know everything? You even know about the secrets of the 4 big families. Why are you asking me about a mere Elixir King Temple? I only know about big shots and big families. As for the small stuff, I still need you to tell me. As though he had guessed Yuja Kitami's thoughts, Lin Yu added, interrupting her thoughts. At this moment, the others had arrived as well. Qin Yi and the others could not understand why Lin Yu would let Taoist Grand Supreme go at the last moment and not let them chase after him. If they had gone, they would have had a high chance of taking down Taoist Grand Supreme. But Lin Yu did not explain it to them. Qin Yi and the others did not ask either. They had absolute trust in Lin Yu. As for Qin Yi, after seeing Yuja Kitami, she knew of her identity and greeted her simply. They're all members of the low-profile sect. Since we are partners, then tell us about the Pill King Temple in one go. Lin Yu signaled to Yuja Kitami that she didn't need to worry about other people. At the same time, he was also expressing his attitude. This person was definitely protective. The Elixir King Temple is a place jointly guarded by the 4 families. It is used to pass down the method of refining elixirs and provide the best elixirs for the descendants of the 4 families. There are 4 Elixir King Temples in total, which are under the control of the Donghuang, Nangong, Beima, and Shiming families respectively. Previously, I went to the Pill King Temple in my Beima clan's territory. Needless to say, Lin Yu also knew that there was still some distance between the Pill King Temple and the Beima clan's core region. It was even located at the periphery of the Beima clan. This was why Yuja Kitami was intercepted by Taoist Taishang on the way. If they were in the core region, Taoist Grand Supreme would not dare to make a move against the eldest daughter of the Beima clan, even if he had more guts. Since we are partners, I will say it directly. I want to win this alchemy conference. Yuja Kitami looked at Lin Yu. As you said, this is a good opportunity for the Beima clan to revive. After all, although Lin Yu killed our sequence, I still want to thank him. If he had not defeated Nangong Tian, perhaps the Beima clan would not have this opportunity. After entering the Pill King Tower, I will have the chance to comprehend the alchemy attainments left behind by the great Sun Boundless Buddha. Okay, I will help you pass on the message to Lin Yu when I meet him. Lin Yu said casually. He didn't care about the attainments, but he cared about Yuja Kitami's gratitude. Qin Yi and the others could not help but twitch their faces. The captain's change of identity was too natural. You know Lin Yu? Yuja Kitami was very interested. I met him once. He is indeed a dragon among men. His actions and words show an extraordinary aura of a king. Therefore, it is not wrong for Nangong Tian to be defeated by him. I would like to meet such a powerful person. Hearing Lin Yu's words, Yuji Kitami was clearly more curious about Lin Yu. I heard that he has been brought to the heavenly region. The legendary 6-winged divine king wants to meet him personally. This person is the role model of our sequence. Yuji Kitami could not help but praise Lin Yu. The sequence has been held 9 times. This is the first time that the Divine King has personally summoned a disciple on the sequence. In the past, the people on the sequence would be taken in as disciples by other people on the Heavenly God ranking. However, the 6-winged Divine King is the number 1 on the Heavenly God ranking. He has never taken the initiative to summon the people on the sequence. Beima Yu continued, but Lin Yu interrupted her. My goal this time is also to enter the Pill King Pagoda. If there's a chance, I would like to meet the great solar boundless Buddha. After that, Beima Yu's pretty face froze. You want to meet the great sun boundless Buddha? Why not? The difficulty of meeting the great sun boundless Buddha is probably more difficult than Lin Yu meeting the 6-winged Divine King. The Buddha is very elusive. He has not appeared for many years. There are even rumors about him. Beima Yu hesitated for a moment. When she saw the look in Lin Yu's eyes, she was afraid that the other party would say that she wasn't going to cooperate or something. Rumor has it that the Vairocana Buddha was severely injured back then. He doesn't have long to live. F***CK. Lin Yu cursed silently. He had followed the dark priest's advice to seek refuge with the great sun boundless Buddha. However, before he could find him, the great sun boundless Buddha had died. The dark priest was a scammer. What's wrong? It's nothing. The great sun boundless Buddha's cultivation is extremely high. How could he die so easily? Lin Yu consoled himself. That's true. However, the Tower of Pills has a close relationship with the Buddha. Perhaps there's a chance to find out the whereabouts of the great sun boundless Buddha inside. Yuji Kitami looked at Lin Yu and reminded him. However, regarding the enlightenment of Pill Dao, I won't snatch it from you, unless that enlightenment of Pill Dao comes to me. Lin Yu replied casually. How could it come to you? Yuji Kitami rolled her eyes at him. She was still very confident in her own Pill Dao. If someone had to run, it would run to her. However, since Lin Yu had already agreed not to snatch it from her, then at least their goals would not clash. That was even better. It's not a problem to bring you all into the Pill Dao conference. However, you all have to follow me back to the Baima clan first. I need to report to my father that I have obtained the pill recipe this time. Yuji Kitami said. Lin Yu did not think much of it. Everyone followed Yuji Kitami to the core area of the Baima clan. With Yuji Kitami leading the way, naturally, no one stopped them. However, Lin Yu still heard some strange words along the way. Young Master Yu is indeed the #1 beauty of our Baima clan. It's not just the Baima clan. I don't think you can find a woman more beautiful than Big Sister Yu in the 4 great clans. Chapter 860. The last time I saw Sister Yu up close, I washed it 3 times after I went back. You piece of trash, I have a portrait of Sister Yu in my room, and I wash it 7 or 8 times a day. Damn, senior brother, can I borrow your portrait for a few days? Lin Yu's face twitched, and he glanced at Qin Yi. She obviously heard it too. The female king of hell, and Nangong, you were also blushing. I didn't hear it. When Lin Yu looked at Yuji Kitami, she actually replied first. I didn't ask. Lin Yu casually echoed. Was this girl confessing without being pressed? When Baima Yu heard this, her beautiful face also turned red. In Lin Yu's heart, he felt that this woman's beauty was indeed not bad. Even compared to Qin Yi, she was not much inferior. She was between Lin Yu's standard 8 to 9 points. They came to a hall in the Baimois family. Yuji Kitami suddenly saw the fragrance of pills lingering. My brother Baimois Yunlei is refining pills. Yuji Kitami changed her direction and descended. As guests, Lin Yu and the others could only follow behind her. They saw the hall below. A young man in his early 20s was refining pills with full concentration. The pills are about to be completed. Junior, your talent is not bad. Listen to this old man, and your future will be limitless. An old man at the side stroked his long beard and said with the look of an expert, Who is this guy? Lin Yu raised his eyebrows. Yuji Kitami immediately shushed him. He is Master Yin, the Pill King's disciple. Don't let him hear you. As soon as she finished speaking, a loud voice came from the front of the hall. Ha! My son Yun Lei can be praised by Master Yin. He will definitely have a bright future. Yun Lei quickly thanked Master Yin. The middle-aged man stepped down and admired Baimois and Yun Lei's alchemy. He hadn't seen Yuji Kitami and the others return yet. That's my father, the patriarch of the Baima clan, Baima Bing. Lin Yu nodded. He knew that the patriarch of such a clan was not the strongest existence. Baimo Bing was also an expert on the celestial god list, but his ranking would not be too high. The strongest in the 4 great clans were the patriarchs behind the patriarchs. For example, old ancestor Nangong Yin, who fought with Lin Yu before. You have the help of a grandmaster, so why do you have to go through so much trouble to get the pill recipe? Lin Yu asked curiously. Yuji Kitami snorted softly. I don't agree with that Grandmaster Yin. I always feel that there's something wrong with his alchemy methods. I don't want to listen to him, and he doesn't like me either. Oh, Baima Yu briefly recounted what had happened. An 8th grade alchemy method, so he only performed what you thought was an 8th grade pill once. And after refining it, You think he's the real Elixir King's disciple? That's right. It's extremely difficult to refine an 8th grade pill. If he's not the Elixir King's disciple, who else can refine it? Lin Yu smiled. Are you sure he refined an 8th grade pill? There's no mistake. Yuji Kitami said confidently. When the 8th grade pill was formed, there were auspicious clouds surrounding it. We all saw it at that time. Also, there were 8 inscriptions on the pill, which is the symbol of an 8th grade pill. All right, Lin Yu smiled, too lazy to explain further. However, he roughly knew where the problem was. The junior has talent, and there's hope in the future of alchemy. Grandmaster should be happy. Why do you look so worried? Bei Mobing immediately saw that Grandmaster Yan's expression was not right. Sai, this old man is obsessed with the Tao of alchemy, and I like to teach the younger generation. Unfortunately, that genius of yours, Bei Mayu never understands this old man. She even likes to sing a different tune from this old man. Grandmaster Yin let out a long sigh. My sister doesn't know how to appreciate favors. Grandmaster, you don't need to pay attention to her. Bei Mobing Yunlei snorted and put away the pill. 4th grade golden pill done. Bei Mobing Yunlei held the golden pill in his hand. The pill fragrance is everywhere. Not bad, not bad. Grandmaster Yin nodded in satisfaction and patted Bei Mobing Yunlei's shoulder, looking like a senior doting on a junior. If your sister was half as sensible as you, I would be willing to stay in the Bei Mobing family for a few more days. Grandmaster is leaving. Bei Mobing Yunlei's heart tightened, and Bei Mobing's expression also turned serious. The alchemy conference was approaching, and now that Elixir King's disciple had appeared in the Bei Mobing family, he could teach these juniors how to improve their alchemy skills. If they let him go now, wouldn't it be a huge loss for the Bei Mobing family? Your sister doesn't like me. She should be back soon. I'm not welcome, so why stay? Grandmaster Yin looked aggrieved, but he still had the appearance of a gentle Taoist. Bei Mobing Yunlei clenched his teeth. Since young, his talent had been inferior to Yuji Kitami's, and he had been suppressed by her in every way. This time, a grandmaster finally appreciated him, so he couldn't let Yuji Kitami ruin it. Father, say something. Bei Mobing Yunlei pleaded with Bei Mobing. Grandmaster, why don't you stay for a few more days? I will properly educate you, Bei Mobing immediately came out to smooth things over. Grandmaster Yin seemed unwilling to give up, hoping that Bei Mobing would do something substantial. You father and daughter have a deep relationship, so there's no need to hurt your relationship for me. I'd better leave. This, Grandmaster, please stay. Bei Mobing clenched his teeth. Don't worry, Grandmaster. When Yu returns, I will immediately scold her and ask her not to talk back to Grandmaster. Grandmaster Yin knew that the time was right, and he smiled helplessly. Since Patriarch Bei Mobing is so sincere, I'll stay for a few more days. Only then did Bei Mobing and Bei Mobing Yunlei breathe a sigh of relief. It's all sister's fault. Bei Mobing Yunlei muttered inwardly. He actually saw Yuji Kitami and the others who had just landed. Big sister is back. Father, hurry up and scold her. Bei Mobing Yunlei reminded him. Bei Mobing also saw Yuji Kitami. Do we have guests? Bei Mobing's gaze landed on Lin Yu and the others. I've never seen these people before. Could they be the helpers you are invited? Father, what helpers could she possibly invite? Big sister has always been in seclusion at home and doesn't even have many friends. Are you counting on her? Before he could finish speaking, Yuji Kitami arrived in front of the two of them and cupped her fists at Bei Mobing. Father, I'm back. It's good that you're back. What about the pill manual? I brought it back. Yuji Kitami's storage ring glowed, and a pill manual appeared in her hand. This is the manual for the reverse marrow reincarnation pill. Very good, very good. Then go back and study it well. Strive to get a good ranking in the Grand Alchemy Conference, Bei Mobing Yunlei instructed. In his heart, he still felt that Yuji Kitami's pill, Tao, had a chance of winning this Grand Alchemy Conference. As for Grandmaster Yin, even if he was willing to teach Bei Mobing Yunlei, Bei Mobing Yunlei's current progress was probably not enough to catch up to Yuji Kitami. Chapter 861. Father, I would like to introduce you to a few friends. Yuja Kitami pointed to Linyu and introduced Linyu to Bame Mobing. Low-profile sect. I have never heard of it. Bame Yunlei whispered. Although Linyu didn't like it. This was their nest, and there was no need to argue with a fool. But Lin Yuan and Lin Xiu were not easy to deal with, and were staring at Bame Mobing at this moment. What? I said you guys can't do it. Bame Mobing was scared by their stares. Enough, they're my friends. Yuja Kitami naturally heard Bame Mobing's muttering at the beginning and apologized to Lin Yu apologetically. At the same time, she took Lin Yu to the guest hall of the Bame Mobing family. Bame Mobing watched his daughter leave, but at this time, Master Yin coughed. Father, you forgot what you promised Master Yin. Bame Mobing immediately came back to his senses. Just now, Bame Mobing said that if Yuja Kitami came back, he would scold her. This, Bame Mobing was a little embarrassed. Since the patriarch can't make a decision, this old man will take his leave. Master Yin cupped his fists and was about to leave when he was stopped by Bame Mobing. Father, say something. Damn it. Bame Mobing looked embarrassed and had to stop Yuja Kitami. Master Yin is a respected alchemy senior. Since you are back, you should say hello to him. Yuja Kitami stopped and frowned. Master Yin and I don't agree on alchemy. As the saying goes, people of different paths can't make plans together. What is there to say hello to? Let brother fight. After speaking, she was about to leave. Preposterous, preposterous. Master Yin stomped his feet in anger. This old man is a disciple of Senior Pill King and thought that it was difficult to find an opponent in this primitive continent. I didn't expect to meet a stinky girl like you. Who are you calling a stinky girl? Yuja Kitami stared at Master Yin. Grandmaster Yan's cultivation was inferior to Yuja Kitami's, and he immediately cupped his fists towards Bame Mobing. Your daughter still wants to hit me. Clan head Bame Mobing. Let's part ways here. Farewell. Master, please wait. I can't live without you. Bame Hua and Yun Lei had been instructed by Grandmaster Yin during this period of time. They believed that they had already reached an unprecedented realm of alchemy. If his mentor left now, how could he surpass Yuja Kitami in the future? Say, your elder sister doesn't have the slightest bit of respect for me as senior in alchemy. She didn't even let me take a look at the reverse marrow reincarnation pill that she brought back. Grandmaster Yin said again. Immediately, Bame Hua Yunlei understood the meaning behind her words. Sister, why don't you take out the pill recipe and show it to Grandmaster Yin? Why? Yuja Kitami frowned. Why should she show her things to others? Grandmaster Yin continued to shake his head with a helpless expression. At the same time, he gave Bame Hua Yunlei a look. Seeing this, Bame Hua Yunlei said to Bame Mobing, Father, Grandmaster Yin is an alchemy master. The reverse marrow reincarnation pill is our hope in attending the alchemy conference this time. If we let elder sister study it alone, it's inevitable that there will be mistakes. Why don't we let elder sister take out the pill recipe and study it together? This is the Bame Hua family, our territory. We're all on the same side. Don't you think so? Bame Hua Yunlei's words were somewhat reasonable, but he didn't care about Yuja Kitami's interests. She had taken the pill recipe for the reverse marrow reincarnation pill herself. As for being ambushed by Taoist Grand Supreme on the way, she hadn't mentioned it yet, nor did she bother to mention it. Only she knew how dangerous it was. Why should she take it out and share it with others now? Lin Yu didn't say anything. After all, they were outsiders here. Wait and see. Bame Mobing looked troubled, but in the end, he was moved by Bame Hua Yunlei. Yunlei is right. Take out the pill recipe and let everyone study it together. If you go back and study it alone, even I won't know if you make a mistake. Father. Yuja Kitami's expression was ugly, but Bame Mobing seemed to have made up his mind. Say no more. Take out the pill recipe. The alchemy conference concerns the future of the Bame Hua family. Don't mess around. Seeing this, Yuja Kitami had already given in. Under Bame Mobing's tough attitude, Yuja Kitami could only take out the pill recipe. Bame Hua Yunlei stepped forward to take it and immediately handed it to Grandmaster Yin. Grandmaster Yin looked gentle, but a cold glint flashed in his old eyes. He glanced coldly at Yuja Kitami. That's right. It's the pill recipe for the reverse marrow reincarnation pill. Grandmaster Yin nodded. Yuji Kitami was so angry that she couldn't speak. Behind him, Lin Yu just smiled gently and confirmed one thing. The Baimwa family, or Baimobing, still favored boys over girls, even though Yuji Kitami's talent seemed much higher than Baimwa Yunlei's. However, Baimobing still indulged Baimwa Yunlei a little more. If not for this, Yuji Kitami's current progress wouldn't lose to Nangong Tian's at his peak. What a pity. I still need some time to study this pill recipe. I'll tell you in detail in a few hours. Grandmaster Yin said again and put away the pill recipe in front of Yuji Kitami. No, Yuji Kitami said angrily. You can take a look, but you can't take it away. Grandmaster Yin snorted. There are some problems with some of the herbs here. Since I've decided to help the Baimwa family, I naturally have to study them thoroughly. Otherwise, how can I teach you alchemy? Grandmaster is right. Baimwa Yunlei also chimed in. Seeing this, Baimobing couldn't say anything. After all, he wasn't good at alchemy. The only person here who knew alchemy was Yuji Kitami. As for Baimwa Yunlei, his youngest son, he only knew half of it. Don't worry, I'll study it carefully after I take it back. 4 hours later, I'll be able to answer your questions and help the Baimwa family win the championship in this alchemy conference. Grandmaster Yin gave everyone another shot of confidence. Hearing this, Baimobing and Baimwa Yunlei were very supportive, and Yuji Kitami seemed to have no reason to refuse. The other party agreed to help them win the championship in this alchemy conference, which was the best result for the Baimwa family. Grandmaster Yin smiled faintly. Knowing that these people wouldn't object, he immediately turned and went back to his residence. Wait! Suddenly, a voice stopped Grandmaster Yin. Everyone looked over. The person who spoke was Lin Yu. Junior, the alchemy conference is about to start, and I don't have much time left. What's the matter? Who dares to stop Grandmaster Yin? Grandmaster Yin, ignore him. Baimwa Yunlei said impatiently. The person brought back by Yuji Kitami dared to ask Grandmaster Yin to stop. Was he courting death? Chapter 862. Since you're the Elixir King's disciple, what's the point of taking back the recipe of the reverse marrow reincarnation elixir? Why don't you demonstrate it here? Lin Yu ignored Baimwa and Yun Lei's ridicule. Instead, his eyes met Master Yan's. In the 100,000 years that he was trapped, he had been a liar too many times and fooled too many people. This guy, how dare he show off in front of an expert? What the hell? What a joke. What does an unknown junior know about alchemy? Master Yin was obviously angry. How could he order him to refine the elixir on the spot? Although I'm not as good as you, I know a little about the alchemy conference. The reverse marrow reincarnation elixir is only a 7th grade elixir. I heard that when you came here, you demonstrated the method of refining an 8th grade elixir. I think refining a 7th grade elixir is easier for you, Lin Yu said unhurriedly. Although there was a strong logic in his words, he did not make any rude requests. But in the eyes of Yuji Kitami and the others, it was a bit provocative. What do you want? He can be the Elixir King's disciple. Yuji Kitami stood beside Lin Yu and gently pulled his sleeve, indicating that Lin Yu couldn't offend Master Yin. Sister, look after your man. Baimwa Yunlei couldn't help but remind Yuji Kitami. Master Yin was so angry that his face turned red. What a joke. Every alchemist has a unique method of refining elixirs. This is the foundation of their pride in the world. How can they show it in front of others? Junior, if you want to learn from me secretly, you found the wrong person. Lin Yu shrugged. I don't need to learn from you secretly. You, how dare you? The path of alchemy is ever-changing. From the herbs to the method of refining elixirs, to the order of adding the herbs, the temperature, the difference of the fire seed, the changes of the furnace, the thickness, and the material. It can be said that refining elixirs is about the meaning and not the form. If it's only about the form, how many of these changes can be learned? And if you value your thoughts, why would Master Yin be afraid of being seen by others? If the process of refining pills can be seen by others, then wouldn't there be a few more top-notch alchemists in the alchemy convention every year? Grandmaster Yin, am I right? Lin Yu's every word seemed to have directly struck Master Yan's heart. The other party took a few steps back. Arrogant. You actually dare to discuss alchemy with Grandmaster Yin? Who do you think you are? Bei Moi and Yun Lei were furious. Grandmaster Yin had been his mentor for the past few days, and Lin Yu was someone Yuja Kitami had invited. Why was it not enough for him to be suppressed by Yuja Kitami? Even his teacher was being suppressed by Yuja Kitami's people. He refused to accept this. Lin Yu stopped talking. Yuja Kitami was so frightened that she moved closer to Lin Yu in a low voice. If you anger him, we'll be in trouble when father blames us. She was mainly afraid that under Bei Mobing's pressure, the Bei Moi family would start to ostracize Lin Yu. Then Yuja Kitami would lose a few helpers this time. At the same time, she owed Lin Yu a life-saving grace, but she couldn't repay it. Yuja Kitami wasn't an ungrateful person. It's fine. Lin Yu patted Yuja Kitami's hand. The first physical contact between the two instantly caused Yuja Kitami's fingers to feel as if they had been electrocuted. This man's hand was so comfortable. It was slender and gentle, but there was a hidden strength at the fingertips and joints. What am I thinking? Yuja Kitami's pretty face reddened. Was she crazy? He's indeed a little arrogant. Bei Mobing looked a little troubled as he looked at Yuja Kitami. Although he's your guest, you still have to discipline him. Daughter knows her mistake. Yuja Kitami wanted to keep the peace, so she pulled Lin Yu away. But the latter didn't move. Mainly, Lin Yu wanted to use this opportunity to display his strength. He had his own goals among the four great families. That was to use the Bei Moi family to find the great Solar Buddha's trail. But with the four great families' character, they wouldn't help you if you didn't display your strength. So what Lin Yu wanted to do was to quickly gain the Bei Moi family's trust without exposing his identity. And this Pill King's disciple was the best stepping stone. It was fine if the other party was hiding his wealth and keeping his secret. But Great Master Yin stepped on his face and took away Yuja Kitami's pill recipe. This was looking down on them behind Yuja Kitami. If Great Master is worried about others seeing your pill refining skills, how about this? Lin Yu's lips curled up, and he said something that shocked everyone again. Let's refine the reverse marrow reincarnation pill together and see who can refine it better. When he said this, even Yuja Kitami's hand that was grabbing Lin Yu's sleeve froze in shock. Refined pills together? Was he challenging the Pill King's disciple, Great Master Yin? Arrogant. Who do you think you are to compete with me? Great Master Yin was furious, and he immediately rejected Lin Yu's request. I'm the Pill King's disciple. Why do you have to compete with me? That's right, father. I think the person Big Sister brought back is deliberately making things difficult for me and Great Master Yin. Say something. Bei Moi Yunlei almost started a fight with Lin Yu. If it weren't for Yuja Kitami's dignity, Bei Moi Yunlei would have found someone to take down Lin Yu. Lin Yu obviously saw Great Master Yin's guilty conscience at this moment. He took a step forward and waved his hand, suddenly releasing a domineering aura. It was a kind of steadiness and confidence. It was as if everyone could only believe in his confidence. Because I'm the Pill King's disciple. When he said this, everyone was shocked again. Even Qin Yi, who was behind Lin Yu, felt her heart tighten. They came from a sky desert universe with Lin Yu, and they didn't even know who the Pill King was. Naturally, they knew that Lin Yu was now. He was bragging. However, Lin Yu's words were full of confidence and sincerity. It was as if he was the Pill King's disciple. You, how dare you? How can you be my master's disciple at your age? Great Master Yin was so angry that his face turned pale, but under Lin Yu's aura, his heart began to tremble. Why was his kid's aura so strong? Bei Moi Yunlei wanted to say something, but Lin Yu's eyes fell on him first. It's none of your business. You'd better shut up. Immediately, he looked at Great Master Yin. This is a battle of honor for the Pill King sect, and it concerns my master's reputation. I won't allow anyone to use my master's name to swindle outside. Great Master Yin. Lin Yu took a step forward, and his aura was strong, and his voice was like muffled thunder. Whether it's true or not, we'll know after a fight. Chapter 863. The atmosphere became much heavier. Who would have thought that Yuji Kitami would suddenly bring back a person who did not seem to have any cultivation? But his words were shocking. The moment he spoke, he directly challenged Master Yin. And he was the Elixir King's disciple? At this moment, even Bei Mobing did not dare to speak carelessly. At first, he definitely did not believe Lin Yu's words. After all, the Elixir King was the legendary king of alchemy in the primitive continent, and Master Yan's age was closer to the Elixir King's disciple. This was something that made sense. But in reality, not many people in the primitive continent knew the identity of the Elixir King's disciple. So how old should the disciple be? What should he look like? These things were up for debate. Therefore, Bei Mobing did not dare to speak carelessly. It was up to Master Yin to respond. Yuji Kitami was also frightened by Lin Yu's aura. At this moment, she suddenly thought that Lin Yu might really be the Elixir King's disciple. Impossible. How old is he? He looks even younger than my younger brother. Master Yin, are you afraid? If you are, kneel down and apologize immediately. Otherwise, don't blame me for killing you in the name of my master's reputation. Lin Yu's gaze instantly became much sharper, scaring Master Yin so much that he felt a chill run down his spine. Why was this kid's gaze so terrifying? In an instant, Master Yin suddenly had a feeling that Lin Yu had killed before, and he had killed many people. I won't compete with you. Master Yin clenched his teeth and stepped into the air in the blink of an eye. His cultivation was not high, merely an equalization realm martial artist. At this moment, he was flying out of the Bei Mobing residence at full speed. Seeing him flee in defeat, everyone already had a judgment in their hearts. Want to leave? Lin Yu's fingers formed a claw, and he slightly executed devouring stars. A suction force directly swept Master Yin back, and he landed on the ground. Smack! Master Yin fell to the ground. This kid has cultivation, and it's not low. Bei Mobing narrowed his eyes. He could not see Lin Yu's cultivation, but what Lin Yu just displayed was an extremely powerful cultivation technique. This Qin Wunyan is rather interesting. Bei Mobing nodded in appreciation, while Grandmaster Yin glared at him with an aggrieved expression. You, Patriarch Bei Mobing, this person is acting violently in your Bei Mobing clan. Don't you care? Lin Yu looked at Bei Mobing. Before the other party could speak, he gave Bei Mobing a choice. Patriarch Bei Moi, we'll know who's right and who's wrong once we compete in alchemy. Or do you want to continue being muddle-headed? Lin Yu didn't give Bei Mobing any face at all. He didn't even need to respect this clan leader Bei Mobing. Impudent! How dare you be rude to my father? Bei Yunlei was just about to lash out at Lin Yu when Bei Mobing pulled him back. Unfilial son, back down. Father, Bei Yunlei was startled. Why did his father's attitude suddenly change? He did not know that Bei Mobing had already determined that Lin Yu was the true successor of the Elixir Monarch. Only the successor of the Elixir Monarch would have such boldness. He didn't need to respect the clan leaders of the 4 major families at all. Even if the Patriarch came, they could treat him as an equal because he was the Elixir Monarch's disciple. Therefore, there was nothing wrong with Lin Yu's words. Bei Mobing thought this through. How could he allow others to be rude to Lin Yu? The young man in front of him might really be the successor of the Elixir Monarch. As for Master Yin, he didn't dare to accept the challenge after such a long time. In Bei Mobing's heart, he was already suspicious of him. Sir is right. We'll know who's the real one and who's the fake one after we compete in alchemy. Bei Mobing cupped his fist at Lin Yu. The moment he said that, Master Yan's heart skipped a beat. How can I casually reveal the true teachings of the Elixir Monarch? Master Yan's face flushed red. But just as he was about to speak, Lin Yu appeared in front of him and slapped him. Slap! The sound of the slap resounded through the entire place. Everyone was stunned on the spot. Why did he hit someone? How dare you hurt Master Yin? Bei Mobing Yunlei jumped up and charged at Lin Yu, but Bei Mobing pressed him down and smashed him to the ground. Unfilial son, calm down. Bei Mobing's breathing quickened. He couldn't be bothered to watch Bei Mobing Yunlei go crazy. Instead, his gaze landed on Lin Yu and Master Yin. This lad is very daring. If my son was so bold, I wouldn't have to worry about being mocked by those bastards from the 3 clans and being scolded by the Patriarch every day. Patriarch Bei Mobing, are you not going to care about this matter? Master Yin kept retreating, wanting to ask Bei Mobing for help. However, Bei Mobing's attitude was already very clear. Master Yin, this is a competition between the successors of the Elixir Monarch. How can I care? Master Yin was slapped once again. He had some cultivation, but he didn't understand why he couldn't dodge a few casual slaps from Lin Yu, who looked like an ordinary person. Do you want to compete or not? Lin Yu asked as he slapped him. No. Do you want to compete or not? No. Master Yin knelt down and begged for mercy. I was wrong. I'm not the Elixir Monarch's disciple. I'm not. There was dead silence. After a long time, Yuji Kitami recovered from the series of events. Then how did you refine an 8th grade pill? Master Yin still wanted to hide it, but Lin Yu had already raised his hand. Don't hit me. I said, that's not an 8th grade pill. That's a 1st grade fantasy pill. What's a fantasy pill? Yuji Kitami didn't understand. There are thousands of pills in the world, and she hadn't reached the point where she could recognize all of them. When they're all refined, there will be a strange phenomenon. For example, the 8th grade pill phenomenon you mentioned. There's also a fantasy pill. Because it doesn't need to be consumed, it doesn't have any medicinal effect. It's only used for performance. The person who spoke wasn't Master Yin, but Lin Yu. There's no need to worry about the fantasy pill's medicinal effect being destroyed, so the 8 inscriptions on it are probably directly engraved. Yuji Kitami suddenly understood. Not only her, but even Bei Mobing and Bei Yunlei also understood at this moment. It turned out that they had been fooled by an unknown pill. You already knew that it was a fantasy pill? Yuji Kitami looked at Lin Yu in shock. Even she couldn't tell. So how did Lin Yu know? Not only that, Yuji Kitami had seen Master Yin refine pills with her own eyes, but she couldn't see any clues. It could be seen that Master Yan's technique was very high, and that fantasy pill was special. However, Lin Yu could actually expose the other party's trick just by hearing rumors? Didn't that mean that Lin Yu's alchemy skills were much higher than hers? I guessed, Lin Yu said casually, but how could Yuji Kitami believe him? At this moment, she had a feeling of worship for Lin Yu. Yuji Kitami had a feeling of worship for people who were better at alchemy than her. Only Master Yin made her feel awkward. Now Yuji Kitami knew the reason. He was simply a liar. Chapter 864. It was just a mirage pill, but he had freeloaded in the Baimoff family for so long, and even tricked the Patriarch and the 2 young Patriarchs. He wanted this place. Bei Mobing's face was already red with anger, and he grabbed Master Yin. Bastard, who sent you to swindle us? Tell me, and I'll leave your corpse intact. Bei Mobing snorted angrily. Otherwise, I'll make sure you die without a corpse intact. This was the mindset of the 4 great families. When Grandmaster Yin was useful, even as the clan leader, Bei Mobing was very respectful to him. But now that Master Yin admitted he was a swindler, Bei Mobing could kill him at any time. Patriarch, spare me, spare me. Master Yan's entire body trembled as he was thrown to the ground by Bei Mobing. Speak. It's a mysterious person who bribed this lowly one. He gave this lowly one 10 million dazzling baht, and also gave me the method to refine mirage pills. He told me that with this method, I could do whatever I wanted in the Baimoff family. Master Yin was so frightened that he confessed the entire matter. The more Bei Mobing listened, the angrier he became. Bastard, who is that person? Dazzling chi exploded, and Bei Mobing's cultivation was released due to his anger, hitting Master Yin. Master Yin directly spat out a mouthful of blood. I don't know. Master Yin rolled and crawled on the ground, begging for mercy and kowtowing. I don't know. That person was masked, and this lowly one couldn't see his face at all. If you hide anything, I'll make you beg for death. Bei Mobing's thunder descended, and Master Yan's head was already bleeding. I really don't know. I really don't know. Yunlei, save me. You said I was your master? At this moment, how could Bei Mobing dare to say a word? He had already hidden himself to the side. At the beginning, he had met Master Yin outside and brought him back to the Beimo family. What happened after was as Master Yin said. He successfully used the Mirage Pill to become the Pill King's disciple and became the Beimo family's guest of honor. He was even Bei Mobing Yunlei's Pill Dao teacher. What else did the person who bribed you say? Lin Yu's voice suddenly sounded. He knew that if he didn't ask, Bei Mobing would probably kill Master Yin. At that time, a dead person would be useless. Master Yan's gaze landed on Lin Yu. He was already filled with regret. When this kid first appeared, Master Yin didn't take him hard at all. But because of him, his originally flawless deception was seen through just like that. Master Yin hated Lin Yu to no end, but Bei Mobing could tell that Master Yin was still hiding something. Didn't you hear Sir's question? To Bei Mobing, Lin Yu had already replaced Great Master Yin. Even though Bei Mobing didn't know if Lin Yu was really the Elixir King's disciple, the other party's ability was indeed not low. At the very least, in terms of eyesight, he was better than him. That person wanted this lowly one to sow discord between Miss Yuer and Patriarch Bei Mo. Grandmaster Yin glanced at Bei Moi Yunlei out of the corner of his eye. That person said that young Master Yunlei is shallow and easily incited. As long as I gain his trust and instigate him, young Master Yunlei will make things difficult for Miss Yuer. At that time, the relationship between the Patriarch's family will deteriorate, and my mission will be accomplished. Is there anything else? Bei Mobing's cold voice rang out. No, I've told you everything. Patriarch, please let me go. This lowly one knows his mistake. Before Grandmaster Yin could finish speaking, Bei Mobing's palm had already smashed his head to death. Bei Mobing stood with his hands behind his back. He didn't even look at Grandmaster Yin as he instructed, drag him away and feed him to the dogs. Don't spread this person's matter. Lin Yu knew that Bei Mobing was telling him this. After all, so many people in the Beimo family had been deceived. If word got out, it would be a great humiliation to the 4 great families who valued their reputation. Father, I'll take young Master Qin and the others to settle down first. Yuji Kitami had found a recipe for the reverse chakra marrow pill from Grandmaster Yan's corpse. Go. Bei Mobing nodded and cupped his fists at Lin Yu. Thank you for today's matters, sir. If not for Sir's help, I'm afraid we would still be in the dark. Sir, feel free to tell me what reward you want. This old man will definitely satisfy it. It's no trouble at all. This matter is over. Patriarch Bei Mobing, there's no need to say more. Lin Yu smiled casually and didn't ask for credit. He didn't even give Bei Mobing a chance to speak before he turned around and gestured for Yuji Kitami to lead the way. After everyone left, Bei Mobing narrowed his eyes, his face full of emotion. This Qin Wunyan is reserved and not greedy for credit. If he had made the request just now, this old man would have underestimated him. But Lin Yu didn't make the request and saved the Bei Mobing family's face. This made Bei Mobing have a good impression of him. Father, then Bei Mobing asked cautiously. Kneel. Bei Mobing waved his hand and left, too lazy to look at Bei Mobing Yunlei. His eyes were cold. Who is this person who concealed his identity and harmed the Beimo family? Bei Mobing Yunlei knelt on the ground and looked at Grandmaster Yan's corpse. Damn it, Yuji Kitami, it's you again. He didn't believe that he couldn't beat Yuji Kitami in this lifetime. Grandmaster Yan's appearance had given him hope. But now, this hope had been destroyed by Yuji Kitami and his people again. How could Bei Mobing Yunlei not hate him? He clenched his fists tightly and remembered the person Yuji Kitami brought back. Qin Wunyan, very good. I'll remember you. Outside the wing of the Bei Mobing family's guest hall. I'll have to trouble young master to stay here for the time being. I'll arrange a better place later. Yuji Kitami said in a low voice. No need, this place is fine. Looking at the quiet and secluded environment, it was simple but not shabby. It was enough for them to stay for a while. Besides, Lin Yu knew that they had come in disguise. It was better to keep a low profile. Yuja Kitami nodded lightly and said, "Young Master Qin, with young Master Qin's understanding of the four major families, do you know who sent the mysterious person mentioned by Grandmaster Yin today?" Miss Yu should have guessed a little. Lin Yu smiled. Yuja Kitami didn't hide it. She was more intelligent than others, but she also knew that Lin Yu was a smart person like her. There was no need to beat around the bush in a conversation between smart people. That would only make the other party loathe them. Yu has guessed a little. Since Grandmaster Yin came in disguise as the Pill King's disciple, then I think his goal is to affect my Bei Mobing family's performance at the Grand Alchemy Conference. Yuja Kitami spoke truthfully of her thoughts. After Grandmaster Yin came to the Bei Mobing family, he did try to sow discord between me and my younger brother several times. At the same time, he also praised my younger brother's talent in alchemy. So much so that recently, Father already had the intention of letting Yunlei replace me at the Grand Alchemy Conference. Fortunately, young Master Qin intervened. Otherwise, I'm afraid I really would have been replaced after Grandmaster Yin took the recipe for the reverse marrow reincarnation pill. Lin Yu casually sat down at the table. This matter is simple. I've already guessed a little about the background of the person behind the scenes. Chapter 865. After listening, Beimayu Er's eyes lit up. "Young master, please speak your mind." Lin Yu gave her a look, and Yuja Kitami immediately closed the door. But at the same time, she glanced at Qin Yi and the others warily. "It's okay. They're my people. They won't tell anyone." Lin Yu defended his people, and Yuja Kitami did not say anything. Lin Yu continued, "Miss Yu is right. The other party is trying to affect your attendance at the alchemy conference. I agree with you on this point. Since the other party is targeting the Beima family, which is one of the four major families. So the person behind this can only be someone from the other three clans or the 5 regions." Hearing that Lin Yu suspected the 5 regions, Bai Jiu from the demon region was nervous, but he did not say anything. He believed in Lin Yu's judgment. He would not accuse them wrongly. People from the 5 regions do not know much about the 4 major families. Do you remember that Master Yin said that he first gained the trust of Beima and Yunlei before coming in to swindle people? So the person behind this must know the Beima family very well. So the possibility of it being someone from the other 3 clans is higher than that of the 5 regions. Lin Yu's judgment was reasonable, and Yuja Kitami could only nod in agreement. Among the 3 clans, the Dongwang family and the Dongwang family are the best at alchemy, especially the Dongwang Holy Emperor and the Nangong family. It seems that Nangong Tian will also participate. Lin Yu nodded and continued. The 3 major families are all suspicious. This time, the Nangong family is the most eager to win. I think that Nangong Tian's injuries have not recovered after the battle at the Sequencer City. He needs the Tower of Pills to figure out a new treatment method. So the Nangong family must hope that Nangong Tian will win. As for the Dongwang family, they've always won in previous alchemy conferences, so they're less suspicious. That's because they've won in the past, so there's no need to pay special attention to this one. There's also the Shiming clan. They seem to be the most low-key of the 4 great clans, but I don't know much about them, so it's hard to judge. The chances of the Shiming clan being the mastermind are between the Dongwang family and the Nangong family. Nangong, Shiming, Dongwang. Who exactly is Master Yan's subordinate? This matter still needs to be investigated. When Lin Yu's voice fell, Yuja Kitami couldn't help but clap her hands. Although Lin Yu didn't specify which family he was referring to, Yuja Kitami already had an idea. There was a high chance that she was from the Nangong family. Moreover, when Nangong Tian was at his peak, the people of Nangong family had already shown their arrogance. Now, Nangong Tian had declined after being injured by Lin Yu. However, for the sake of the family's glory, Nangong Tian might have secretly sent someone. Listening to your words is better than studying for 10 years. You're probably the most meticulous person I've ever met. Yuja Kitami gave Lin Yu an extremely high evaluation. If other people from the Baymah family were here, they would definitely be very shocked. Because to them, Baymah was a proud daughter of heaven who was high above others and would rarely praise others. There weren't many people who could catch Yuja Kitami's attention. However, in front of Linyu, Yuja Kitami had to praise him several times. Now, you can talk about the alchemy conference. Linyu reminded her. Yuja Kitami didn't hesitate. The participants of the alchemy conference are from the 4 great clans and the 5 regions. The 4 great clans and the 5 regions will each choose a representative. Although it's called a representative, it's more accurate to say that you can find helpers. But in the end, you can only concoct one pill. The alchemy conference is split into 2 parts. The first part is to collect herbs, and the second part is to refine pills. Linyu raised his eyebrows. This was rather interesting. We can't bring herbs to the conference, so we have to collect them ourselves? That's right. You're indeed smart. Yuja Kitami nodded and smiled. The alchemy conference is held in a mystic realm called the Elixir King Forest. It was left behind by the Elixir King back then. You can find most herbs for pills below grade 9 in the Elixir King Forest. Therefore, we have to find herbs in the Elixir King Forest for the first round. Linyu touched his chin. I think it's not that easy to collect herbs. If all the participants are free in the Elixir King Forest, I'm afraid there will be some fierce fights. That's right. Yuja Kitami increasingly felt that Linyu was amazing. Young Master Chin, this is the reason why we participants need to find helpers. So the helpers you're looking for aren't to refine pills, but to be guardians in the first round. Linyu smiled. Yuja Kitami was a bit embarrassed. They can also help refine pills. Moreover, I already know that young Master's alchemy skills are amazing. Oh, although Grandmaster Yin doesn't have real skills, he still has some knowledge of alchemy. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to fool us for so long with just a mirage pill. However, young Master's words left Grandmaster Yin unable to refute. Linyu blinked. You're comparing me to Grandmaster Yin. Are you sure I'll be happy? Yuja Kitami's heart tightened. She bowed and said, Young Master, you're mistaken. I was just making an example. It's fine. Continue. Yuja Kitami nodded. In the second round, the 9 participants will start at the same time. The alchemy grandmasters of the 4 great families, as well as the alchemy grandmasters of the Elixir King Tower and Elixir King Temple, will evaluate and choose the winner. The winner will be able to obtain the Alchemy Conference's reward and enter the Elixir King Tower. Yuja Kitami's bright eyes revealed a yearning and longing. It said that the Elixir King Tower contains the alchemy insights left behind by Lord Elixir King and the Vairocana Buddha. Chapter 866. The Insights Left Behind by the Great Sun Boundless Buddha. Linyu raised his eyebrows in confusion. Yuja Kitami seemed to have read his mind and explained, the Elixir King was the disciple of the Great Sun Boundless Buddha, and he has already passed away. However, legend has it that the Elixir King's Tao of alchemy has already surpassed that of the Great Sun Boundless Buddha. Therefore, even though the Elixir King Pagoda contains the insights left behind by the Great Sun Boundless Buddha, in the eyes of the world, the pagoda is still named after the Elixir King. I see. Linyu roughly understood what she meant. Now, everyone should have started refining pills. After getting the elixir recipe, I will also start refining pills. Before the alchemy conference begins, let's try a few more times. Yuja Kitami bowed and cupped her fists. She bade farewell to Linyu. At the same time, she took out the reverse marrow reincarnation elixir. This is another elixir recipe that I copied down. If young Master Chi needs it, you can also study it with me. Obviously, Yuja Kitami didn't just treat Linyu as the Tao protector for the first round of gathering herbs. She hoped that Linyu would also participate in the second round of refining pills. Linyu nodded and smiled as he looked at the reverse marrow reincarnation elixir. He roughly understood the crux of the entire refining process. It was similar to the refining method of the Sky Desert universe, and it was also simpler here. It seemed that although the cultivation system of the Sky Desert universe was different from that of this world, the final result of refining pills was the same, even in different universes and worlds. In other words, Lin Yu's attainments in refining pills could still be used in this world. These are the key points. Lin Yu said casually. Yuji Kitami originally wanted to leave and focus on studying the reverse marrow reincarnation elixir. However, after hearing Lin Yu's words, she sat down subconsciously. This was because she had a woman's intuition that a simple conversation with Lin Yu might be more effective than studying hard on her own. Here, and here. Lin Yu pointed and explained what to pay attention to in each of these places. The more Yuji Kitami listened, the more shocked she became. That's right. It's very easy to make mistakes in these areas. If not for young Master Chin's reminder, I might have failed in these areas when refining pills. Yuji Kitami was overjoyed. She grabbed on Lin Yu's shoulder and said excitedly, "Young Master Chin's alchemy skills are the best I've ever seen. Could it be that you really are the Dan King's disciple?" No. Lin Yu had no intention of deceiving him, nor was there a need for him to do so. Why don't you give it a try? Didn't you say you were going into seclusion? Lin Yu was so honest. Yuji Kitami looked a little disappointed. It would be great if Lin Yu was the Dan King's disciple. Yuji Kitami was very interested in alchemy. Her biggest dream was to meet a confidant who was familiar with alchemy and reach the peak of alchemy with her. I'm not going into seclusion. Yuji Kitami snorted. Lin Yu didn't understand. The others also felt it was strange. Yuji Kitami waved her hand and asked the servants of the Baima clan to come up and tidy up a room in the courtyard next door. From today onwards, I'll live next door to you. Yuji Kitami smiled at Lin Yu. Before the Grand Alchemy Conference begins, I hope young Master Chin can refine pills with me. She firmly believed that with Lin Yu's help, she could quickly refine a reverse marrow reincarnation pill that was above the 6 vein grade. In this regard, Lin Yu could only smile non-committally. This was the Baima clan. How could he control where Yuji Kitami wanted to live? Fine. Since Baima was so ambitious, he could teach him. After all, if she won the Grand Alchemy Conference, it would be good for Lin Yu. A few days later, Yuji Kitami began to wake up early and work late to study the reverse marrow reincarnation pill. When she encountered a problem, she would immediately ask Lin Yu for help. On one hand, Lin Yu was also teaching Yuji Kitami. On the other hand, he was consolidating his realm. At the same time, in order to let her break through to the 10,000 spirit realm, Lin Yu also refined a few pills. These pills were enough for her to break through her shackles. To this, the Queen of Hell was surprised and grateful to Lin Yu. Then, she went into seclusion. As for Qin Yi and the others, because they called Lin Yu brother and sister, they naturally became guests of the Baima clan. When Yuji Kitami pestered Lin Yu, Qin Yi could only cultivate alone. Not only her, but Nangong Yu was also the same. She couldn't get a word in on the way of alchemy. She could only become stronger silently, hoping that she would have a chance to help Lin Yu in the future. As for Lin Yuan, Lin Xiao, and Bai Jiao, they were also breaking through their cultivation as soon as possible. The 10,000 spirit realm was divided into 3 major realms. They were only in the first realm now, and the second realm required them to condense their own 10,000 spirit seal. The condensation of this 10,000 spirit seal required a large number of beasts to do experiments. Only a small number of beasts could be cultivated into the 10,000 spirit seal. They were also known as elite beasts. Elite beasts could be encountered but not sought. Even in the Baima clan, Yuji Kitami wanted to find a few elite beasts for them to cultivate, but she could only find 3. The grades of these 3 elite beasts weren't strong. After Lin Yuan and Lin Xiao tried to refine them, they still failed. The elite beasts died, and the 10,000 spirit seal was not refined successfully. It seems that we need stronger elite beasts. Yuji Kitami didn't have much time herself, so she could only let Lin Yuan and the others wait first. They first raised their realm to the peak of the first layer of the myriad spirit realm. When the time was right, they could find the best elite beasts and step into the second layer of the myriad spirit realm in one fell swoop. After 3 days of failed attempts, Yuji Kitami also began to refine the 12th reverse marrow reincarnation pill. If it weren't for young Master Qin, I'm afraid it would take more than a month. This was Beima Yu's first time refining the reverse marrow reincarnation elixir. She had thought that it would be a simple elixir. However, the more she studied it, the more she understood that this kind of grade 7 elixir was beyond her expectations. Now, Yuji Kitami was about to refine the first successful reverse marrow reincarnation pill. 70%, 80%, 90%. The flames in the pill furnace were rolling. Yuji Kitami's pretty face was full of fragrant sweat, but her bright eyes revealed a hint of excitement. Linyu at the side sipped his tea lightly, but he still looked calm. This was because he knew very well that Beima Yu would succeed this time. But just as Yuji Kitami was about to succeed, outside the courtyard, Beima Yun Lei suddenly stepped into the air. Qin Wunyan, die for me. Beima Yun Lei flew in and rushed directly to Lin Yu. This brat made him kneel for 3 days. Beima Yun Lei wanted to settle this score with him. But when Beima Yun Lei made a move, Lin Yu didn't even look at him. Instead, Yuji Kitami was distracted by him at this moment. Boom! In the pill furnace, the medicinal aura spread out and surged nonstop. Chapter 867. At first, it was calm and was about to come out of the furnace, but now it suddenly became violent. Don't hurt, young Master Qin, Yuji Kitami cried out. Only then did she realize that something had happened to her elixir at the last moment. The tyrannical flame broke through the furnace. With a bang, the fragments scattered and directly sent Beima Yun Lei flying. Seeing this scene, Lin Yu's expression turned cold. His figure disappeared and directly appeared in front of Beima Yun Lei, who had just stabilized himself. Idiot! Lin Yu expressionlessly waved his palm. The 5-element seal palm turned into a tyrannical palm force and directly hit Beima Yun Lei. The latter was immediately smashed to the ground, raising a cloud of dust. Cough, cough. Beima Yun Lei clutched his chest and slowly stood up from the ground. He looked at Lin Yu's figure in disbelief. The person brought by Yuji Kitami dared to attack him. This was Northern Yun Lei's territory. Beima Yun Lei was shocked. This kid only knew how to talk and had no cultivation. How could his combat strength be so strong? After Lin Yu waved his palm, he no longer paid attention to Beima Yun Lei. He was clear about the power of his palm just now. At most, it would cause Beima Yun Lei to be slightly injured. After all, he still had to use the name of the Beima family to participate in the alchemy conference. He couldn't kill Beima Yun Lei with one palm. Lin Yu looked in the direction of Yuji Kitami. Due to the interference at the last moment of pill formation, the flame went out of control and the entire furnace was blown to pieces. At this moment, Yuji Kitami was also in a sorry state. She was shaken to the ground by the impact. Her clothes were also damaged in the flames, revealing patches of white skin. Lin Yu came to Yuji Kitami's side and picked her up from the ground. Young Master Qin. Beima Yu let out a cry of surprise, her face turning red. She knew that her clothes were damaged by the flames just now. The parts that were covered by her clothes were exposed to Lin Yu's eyes. Don't talk, Lin Yu said unyieldingly. He could tell what Yuji Kitami was thinking, but he didn't give her a chance to continue. As expected, under Lin Yu's domineering attitude, Yuji Kitami could only nod her head with a red face. Then, she buried her face in Lin Yu's chest. Seeing Beima Yu's incomparably bashful look, Lin Yu's face was calm. He had seen too many women. Without any ripples, he carried Beima Yu and walked towards the room. Seeing Lin Yu leave without paying any attention to him, Beima Yun Lei immediately felt a burst of anger in his heart. Pooh! Beima Yun Lei was already injured, so he directly spat out a mouthful of blood. Damn Qin Wunyan, just you wait. A chill seeped out of his eyes. He stared at Lin Yu's back until it completely disappeared before leaving the courtyard. In the side room, Lin Yu put Yuji Kitami on the bed. Young Master Qin, let me do it myself. After lying on the bed, Yuji Kitami saw Lin Yu reach out to help her get up. She immediately let out a shy voice. Seeing Yuja Kitami refuse him with a red face, Linyu didn't get angry. He knew that Yuja Kitami was too shy because of what happened before. Yuja Kitami slowly got up from the bed and sat cross-legged. She closed her eyes and felt her injuries. After a while, Yuja Kitami opened her eyes. She looked a little depressed. The failure of refining pills caused me a backlash. I don't know if I can recover by the time of the Grand Alchemy Conference. Although Yuja Kitami didn't say it directly, Linyu knew that she was worried that her injuries might have a bad effect on the Grand Alchemy Conference. Let me take a look for you. After Linyu said that, he put his hand on Yuja Kitami's arm. Young Master Chin also knows how to treat illnesses. Yuja Kitami looked a little surprised, but after seeing Lin Yu's very calm expression, she didn't know why she felt relieved. Lin Yu smiled slightly and didn't say anything. Yuja Kitami's eyes widened. She looked at Lin Yu in disbelief. She suddenly felt that her injuries had healed by 70 to 80% in an instant. One had to know that those weren't ordinary injuries. They were internal injuries caused by the backlash in the middle of refining pills. As for the injuries caused by the explosion of the pill furnace and the flames, it wasn't a big deal to her who was in the Myriad Soul Realm. Young Master Chin is so amazing. Yuja Kitami's eyes revealed a look of shock. This jaw-dropping phenomenon was naturally caused by Lin Yu's space-time reset. However, he still didn't fully trust Yuja Kitami, so he didn't completely heal Yuja Kitami's injuries. He only healed by 70 to 80%. By the time the Grand Alchemy Conference began, her injuries would naturally be healed and wouldn't affect the Grand Alchemy Conference. At this time, a voice came from the courtyard. "Father, it's here." I saw with my own eyes that Qin Wenyan carried Sister into the room. He was planning to do something to Sister. Hearing Bei Moi Yunlei's voice from outside, Yuja Kitami's pretty face turned slightly red, but soon she frowned. "Bei Moi Yunlei, that guy is too much." Bei Moi Yu gritted her teeth and grumbled. He was the one who barged into the courtyard without permission, causing her to fail at the last moment of refining the reverse chakra marrow pill. As a result, she was injured. But now, Bei Moi Yunlei didn't mention a word about it. He just said that Lin Yu carried her into the side room. He was clearly trying to frame him. Yuji Kitami looked at Lin Yu's face. She found that he was still calm and didn't show any signs of anger. "Young Master Chin, don't worry. I will seek justice for you," Yuji Kitami said solemnly. Then, she changed her clothes and walked outside. Previously, when she had suffered from the backlash of refining the pill, it had indeed made it difficult for her to move. Lin Yu had also noticed this, so he took the initiative to carry her. However, with Lin Yu's help, her injuries had healed a lot. At least, they wouldn't affect her movements. Yuji Kitami was grateful. At this time, Bei Moi Yunlei kicked the door open. "Qin Wenyan, how dare you humiliate my sister in broad daylight? You're dead meat today." Bei Moi Yunlei was sure that Yuji Kitami was still injured. At this moment, as long as Bei Moi Bing was fast enough, he would be able to kill Lin Yu first. As for the truth, he would talk about it later. But just as Bei Moi Bing was about to fly into a rage, she saw Bei Moi Yu was standing in front of Lin Yu with a cold expression. "Shut up. Don't slander young Master Chin anymore." Seeing Yuja Kitami standing at the door safe and sound, Bei Moi Bing immediately heaved a sigh of relief. Then, he felt a little puzzled. I heard from Yunlei that Mr. Chin, on the way here, Bei Moi Yunlei had told Bei Moi Bing the lie he had made up. He thought that Yuja Kitami had fainted in the violent explosion, so Lin Yu had gone to carry Yuja Kitami away. Bei Moi Yunlei's plan was to take advantage of Yuja Kitami's coma to frame Lin Yu for everything. It would be best if his father could kill Lin Yu. At the very least, he would drive him away. Who would have thought that Yuji Kitami would be completely fine? Bei Moi Yunlei's face turned pale. He slipped behind the crowd, trying to take the opportunity to leave. Although Bei Moi Bing didn't say it out loud, Yuji Kitami was smart enough to understand what he meant. Yuji Kitami stared at Yun Moi Yunlei's panic figure and said coldly, "Bei Moi Yunlei, stop right there." Hearing this voice, Moi Bing and the people behind him all looked back. Moi Yunlei knew that he had been noticed, so he could only stand there with a sullen face. Father, what Moi Yunlei said before was a lie. I was about to refine the reverse marrow reincarnation pill when Moi Yunlei suddenly barged into the courtyard. That was why I failed. Chapter 868. Mobing slowly nodded when he saw the shattered pill furnace in the courtyard. Although he was not an experienced alchemist, he had some understanding of alchemy. The scene in the courtyard was indeed caused by a failed alchemy. Furthermore, his daughter had just mentioned the reverse marrow reincarnation pill. Could it be that his daughter could now refine that 7th grade pill? Mobing forcefully suppressed the excitement in his heart. What happened after that? Young Master Qin saw that I was injured and brought me back to the room to treat my injuries. Otherwise, my injuries would have affected my performance at the Grand Alchemy meeting. At this moment, Lin Yu also walked out of the room and stood beside Yuji Kitami. After hearing these words and recalling what Moi Yunlei had said to her, how could Moi Bing not know what was going on? Unfilial son, hurry up and apologize to your sister. Mobing was so angry that he grabbed Mobing Yunlei from a distance. Seeing his furious father, Mobing Yunlei knew that he had no choice but to apologize today. Mobing Yunlei gritted his teeth, his eyes filled with unwillingness. I was wrong. Father, Mobing Yunlei has repeatedly made mistakes. Please punish him. Although Mobing Yunlei had already apologized, Yuji Kitami felt that this was not enough to make it up to Lin Yu. After all, if she had really fainted, Lin Yu would not be able to explain himself even if he had 10,000 mouths. Just as Mobing was feeling hesitant, someone ran in from outside the courtyard and shouted, "Clan leader, the Nangong family is here." When Mobing heard this, he immediately turned around, intending to welcome them. Before he left a message. Let's discuss this later. Let's go welcome the Nangong family first. You have to come over immediately. Seeing the group leave the courtyard, Yuji Kitami pursed her lips in dissatisfaction. Father is still on his side. Lin Yu nodded in understanding, but he did not take the previous incident to heart. To him, not to mention a clown like Moi Yunlei, even Moi Bing wasn't worth his time. Let's go too. The Nangong family is here. Let's go and see what they're planning to do. Yuji Kitami said as she reached out to pull Lin Yu. When she touched his hand, she suddenly came to her senses and quickly retracted her hand. Lin Yu was stunned at first, but when he saw Yuji Kitami running away with a red face, he chuckled and followed her. On the other side, Mobing met the Nangong family in the reception hall. To Mobing's surprise, the leader of the group was actually Nangong Tian. Didn't Nangong Tian suffer serious injuries in the previous sequence battle and lose his cultivation? Although he was puzzled, Mobing still pretended to be indifferent. Why have you come to my Moi clan today? As the leader of the clan, he naturally couldn't lower himself to ask a junior from another clan. Leader Moi, I'm here today to discuss pills with the candidates for the alchemy conference. Nangong Tian cupped his fists and said with a smile, "Discuss pills?" Mobing raised his eyebrows. He obviously knew what Nangong Tian meant by discuss pills. Alchemy discussion was a kind of activity between alchemists. Two alchemists would gather together and discuss the same pill recipe. Through alchemy discussion, the two alchemists would be able to understand who was stronger and who was weaker. Just as Mobing didn't know how to answer, a voice came from outside the hall. "Nangong Tian, you've recovered." Yuji Kitami and Lin Yu walked into the hall together and asked in surprise after sensing Nangong Tian's cultivation. Previously, all of them thought that Nangong Tian had lost his cultivation. That was why the Nangong family placed so much importance on this alchemy conference. However, from the looks of it, Nangong Tian's injuries had completely recovered before the alchemy conference even started. Looks like there's going to be another strong opponent in this alchemy conference. What's so difficult about recovering? I was tricked by Lin Yu because I underestimated my opponent previously. It's just a small injury. It's not worth mentioning. However, it's a pity that Lin Yu was brought to the heavenly region to meet the six-winged divine king by the divine priest of light. Otherwise, I would have taught him a lesson. Nangong Tian turned around and smiled without explaining. However, he was a little surprised when he saw Lin Yu. Yuji Kitami was ranked third in the previous sequence leaderboard. She had always been serious with men of the same generation as her. However, the man in front of him could walk alongside Yuji Kitami. There must be something special about him. Who is this? Qin Wunyan. Lin Yu smiled casually in front of Nangong Tian. After noticing the way Nangong Tian looked at him, he knew that Nangong Tian didn't see through his disguise. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so calm. As for the recovery of Nangong Tian's cultivation, Lin Yu wasn't too shocked by it. From Nangong Tian's aura, he could sense the traces of the engulfing starry sky. Nangong Tian must have absorbed the cultivation of countless people before he recovered. The Nangong family is indeed impressive. Lin Yu sneered in his heart. Nangong Tian continued, as if he wanted to change the topic about his cultivation. Yuji Kitami, you're the one representing the Baimov family in the alchemy conference, right? Yes. How about we have a discussion about alchemy? Yuji Kitami nodded after thinking for a while. Sure. Although she didn't have a good impression of Nangong Tian would definitely represent the Nangong family in the alchemy conference since he had recovered his cultivation. It was a good thing to know Nangong Tian's alchemy skills in advance. Bei Mobing also ordered the servants to prepare a quiet room for the two of them to discuss alchemy. Soon, everyone arrived at the quiet room. Other than Yuji Kitami and Nangong Tian, Lin Yu and Bei Mobing were also watching from the side. Let's discuss alchemy with my alchemy manual. Yuji Kitami took out the alchemy manual for the reverse marrow reincarnation pill and placed it on the table. However, young Master Nangong should know the rules of the four big families, right? Bei Mayuer's plan was to figure out Nangong Tian's abilities in the pill Dao. Therefore, this pill recipe that she had already understood was the most suitable. Of course, a grade 7 alchemy manual was very precious and couldn't be obtained easily. It was even more precious for some alchemists, as they could only get one after a long time. However, it wasn't that precious for a core disciple of a family like Nangong Tian. The reverse marrow reincarnation pill is not bad. Of course, I know the rules. Since Ms. Bei Mobing has shown me the alchemy manual, I can't refine this pill during the alchemy conference. Otherwise, I will be killed by the backlash. Nangong Tian was very clear about the rules. It was a rule left behind by the Elixir King. Anyone who took out the alchemy manual from the Elixir King Temple would know this rule. There were people who stole other people's alchemy manuals before. However, as long as that person had entered the Elixir King Temple before, he would know the rules of the Elixir King. Once Nangong Tian and Yuji Kitami refined the same pill during the alchemy conference at the same time. If the Elixir King Temple recognized that the alchemy manual came from Yuji Kitami, Nangong Tian would be punished by the Elixir King Temple. Thinking of this, Nangong Tian smiled knowingly and took out the alchemy manual for the reverse marrow reincarnation pill to read carefully. Yuji Kitami also took out a copy of the alchemy manual for the reverse marrow reincarnation pill. Although she knew the contents of the alchemy manual by heart, she still had to pretend. After an hour, Nangong Tian put down the alchemy manual in his hands. This alchemy manual is indeed a little difficult. It's one of the best among the grade 7 pills. If you can refine this pill, you will have a lot of advantages compared to other grade 7 pills during the selection. There was admiration in Nangong Tian's eyes. After hearing Nangong Tian's words, Yuji Kitami didn't feel happy. Instead, her heart sank. She obviously knew the quality of the reverse marrow reincarnation pill. Therefore, she wasn't surprised by what Nangong Tian said. Instead, she felt pressured by the fact that Nangong Tian could finish reading the alchemy manual in an hour and even understand the information contained in it. Nangong Tian didn't seem to notice Yuji Kitami's expression and continued. However, The ingredients for the reverse marrow reincarnation pill are very complicated. There are a few rare ingredients in it. During the alchemy conference, you can only look for the ingredients in the Elixir King forest. It's very difficult to find all the ingredients in this alchemy manual. At this point, Nangong Tian shook his head regretfully. I understand. Then I'll take my leave first. See you during the alchemy conference. I hope we can work together in the future. Nangong Tian clasped his fists and left the quiet room. As the leader of the tribe, Bei Mobing had the responsibility to send the guest off. Naturally, he followed Nangong Tian out. Chapter 869. Only Lin Yu and Yuji Kitami were left in the quiet room. Mr. Qin. Yuji Kitami looked at Lin Yu hesitantly. Do you think the reverse marrow reincarnation elixir is suitable to be refined in the alchemy conference? Although she didn't know if Nangong Tian meant well, his words reminded Yuji Kitami. The reverse marrow reincarnation elixir was one of the best among the grade 7 elixirs. The ingredients used to refine it were naturally very rare, and it was much more difficult to collect the ingredients for the other grade 7 elixirs. Even if the alchemy conference was held in the Elixir King forest, there would definitely be all the ingredients needed to refine the reverse marrow reincarnation elixir. However, it was one thing to have the ingredients, and another to be able to find all the ingredients in the competition. Don't worry, but we still need to make some other preparations. Lin Yu smiled. He knew Yuji Kitami's worries, but it wasn't difficult for him to enter the Elixir King forest to find the ingredients. After all, the most powerful cultivators who participated in the alchemy conference were only in the Myriad Souls realm. They weren't a threat to Lin Yu. After hearing Lin Yu's words, Bei Mayu felt an inexplicable sense of relief, but then a trace of doubt appeared. What else do we need to prepare? A recipe that is even more precious than the reverse marrow reincarnation elixir. Lin Yu said calmly. After seeing Yuji Kitami's confused expression, he continued, let's not consider the other participants. Nangong Tian remained calm after knowing that you were refining the reverse marrow reincarnation elixir. This means that he doesn't think that the reverse marrow reincarnation elixir is a threat. Perhaps he has a better recipe. Lin Yu's words woke Yuji Kitami up. Then, she heard Lin Yu continue, you should have some understanding of his alchemy skills during the alchemy conference just now. He might be able to refine an elixir that is even more powerful than the reverse marrow reincarnation elixir. Listen carefully. A thoughtful look flashed across Yuji Kitami's eyes as she nodded. Nangong Tian's alchemy skills are indeed very good. We have to be prepared in advance. But my Beima clan doesn't have a better pill recipe. This pill recipe for the reverse marrow chakra pill was obtained from the Pill King Temple, and it's the best pill recipe I can get. Although the pill recipes for grade 7 pills were precious, the Beima clan still had a few copies. However, the quality of those pill recipes couldn't compare to the reverse marrow reincarnation pill. As for pill recipes for 8th grade pills, even the Beima clan had never collected them. It wasn't that he couldn't afford it, but because the Northern Hua clan had never produced an 8th grade alchemist. Even if he bought the pill recipe, it would be a waste. Lin Yu blinked. If you can get a 7th grade pill, what about me? With the benefits of the Pill King Temple in front of him, Lin Yu naturally wanted to take advantage of it. Maybe after entering the Pill King Temple, he would be able to obtain a powerful pill recipe that would allow him to break through to a higher realm. But only people from the 4 major clans can enter the Pill King Temple. Yuji Kitami looked a little confused. Also, the Pill King Temple awards pill recipes based on one's alchemy aptitude. The highest alchemy aptitude I have in my clan is only a 7th grade pill recipe. Lin Yu smiled but didn't say anything. Yuji Kitami's eyes lit up when she noticed Lin Yu's expression. If it's Mr. Qin, you'll definitely be able to get a more precious pill recipe. Although Mr. Qin isn't from the Beima clan, I can turn you into one. Oh, Yuji Kitami said excitedly. She hurriedly grabbed Lin Yu's arm and walked out. In the reception hall, Bei Mobing had just sent Nangong Tian away. Bei Mobing Yunlei stood beside him and said angrily, Father, Nangong Tian is just a junior. Why do you value him so much? Bei Mobing Yunlei was very unhappy when he saw Bei Mobing accompanying Nangong Tian throughout the visit. Nangong Tian was about the same age as him. Why was his status so much higher than his? Shut up, Bei Mobing scolded. Suddenly, he noticed Yuji Kitami and Lin Yu. You were, after the alchemy discussion just now, what do you think of Nangong Tian's alchemy skills? Nangong Tian's alchemy skills are very strong. He's on par with me. Yuji Kitami nodded. A strange look appeared in her eyes. Father, Bei Mobing Yunlei made a mistake previously. How do you plan to punish him? Bei Mobing turned to look at Bei Mobing Yunlei. He was a little hesitant. Bei Mobing Yunlei didn't seem to care at all. He knew that his father liked him more than Yuji Kitami. Even if he wanted to punish him, it was just for show. Oof. Yuji Kitami snorted coldly. Then, she took out a pill furnace and placed it on the ground. Yua, Bei Mobing looked over in confusion. He didn't know what Yuji Kitami wanted to do. Could it be that she planned to refine pills here? Suddenly, he remembered that Yuji Kitami had mentioned refining the reverse marrow reincarnation pill. His expression instantly became a little excited. However, Yuji Kitami didn't explain anything. Instead, she sat quietly beside the pill furnace and started refining the pill. The flames in the pill furnace gradually boiled, causing the temperature in the entire reception hall to rise. Bei Mobing stared at the pill furnace. Even Bei Mobing Yunlei didn't dare to make a sound at this time. After all, Bei Mobing was here. If he disrupted the pill refinement like last time, Bei Mobing Yunlei would definitely not let him off easily. 80%, 90%, Lin Yu stood at the side calmly. He knew that the pill refinement this time was a success. As expected, the flames in the pill furnace started to dissipate. Then, a strong pill fragrance came from the pill furnace. Yuji Kitami wiped the sweat on her forehead and took out the pill. Father, please take a look. This is the reverse marrow reincarnation pill. Let me see. Bei Mobing excitedly took the pill. After carefully examining it for a while, he looked up and laughed loudly. Ha! You actually refined the reverse marrow reincarnation pill. You're indeed my daughter. To Bei Mobing, the head of the Nangong family, a 7th grade pill wasn't that precious. However, a 7th grade alchemist and a 7th grade pill were two completely different things. This meant that the Nangong family could start mass-producing 7th grade pills now. From Bei Mobing's attitude towards Great Master Yin, it was clear how high the status of a high-grade alchemist was. It's all thanks to young Master Qin's guidance. Yuji Kitami smiled and pushed all the credit to Lin Yu. Bei Mobing hurriedly looked at Lin Yu. Mr. Qin's methods are indeed superb. What does Mr. Qin need? The Bei Mobing family will definitely find it for you. To be able to guide his daughter to refine the reverse marrow reincarnation pill, one had to be at least an 8th grade alchemist. Even as the head of the 4 great families, he had to treat such a person with respect. Young Master Qin wants to enter the Pill King Temple, Yuji Kitami said on behalf of Lin Yu. The Pill King Temple. Bei Mobing was slightly stunned and felt a little troubled. This was because only members of the 4 great families could enter the Pill King Temple. Even members of the 4 great families could only enter once in their lifetime. When entering the Pill King Temple, they had to provide a drop of their blood essence. Under normal circumstances, people who weren't from the 4 great families could not enter. Father, you previously said that you wanted to punish Bei Mobing Yunlei. This time, you can take a drop of his blood essence and give it to young Master Qin as an apology for offending young Master Qin. Yuji Kitami said unhurriedly from the side. Although her voice was very calm, it was extremely terrifying to Bei Mobing Yunlei. He actually wanted to take out his blood essence and let someone else enter the Pill King Temple on his behalf. How could Bei Mobing Yunlei agree to hand over such a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to someone else? Bei Mobing Yunlei's figure slowly retreated out of the hall when he suddenly heard a thunderous voice. Stop right there. Chapter 870. Bei Mobing grabbed Bei Yunlei and brought him back to his side. Yunlei, you offended Mr. Qin previously. Take out a drop of essence blood and offer it to Mr. Qin. Although Bei Mobing favored his son, he was no fool since he could become the patriarch of the Bei Maiyun family. Compared to Bei Yunlei's fortuitous encounter, the alchemy conference was obviously more important. Bei Yunlei's face turned pale when he heard Bei Mobing's words. He gritted his teeth and wanted to refuse, but in the end, he lowered his head dejectedly. I understand. Bei Yunlei bit the tip of his tongue and forced a drop of essence blood out of his body. He instantly became much weaker. Essence blood was the essence of a person, and there was not much of it. Losing a drop would have a huge impact. Mr. Qin, accept it. Bei Mobing sent the drop of essence blood to Lin Yu. I also want to ask Mr. Qin for a favor. Lin Yu waved his hand and accepted the blood essence, then nodded. Please speak, Patriarch Bei Maiyun. Mr. Qin should know that the alchemy conference is about to begin. I originally wanted Yunlei to accompany you, but now it seems that Yunlei is not suitable to participate. Bei Mobing looked at Bei Yunlei with disappointment and continued. So, I want Mr. Qin to accompany you to participate and strive to obtain first place in this alchemy conference. Although only the 4 great families in 5 regions could participate in the alchemy conference, every faction could find a helper. This helper's identity was not restricted. Qin Wunyan will do his best. Lin Yu smiled faintly. He had not thought of how to obtain the Bei Maiyun family's participation quota, but Bei Mobing had taken the initiative to deliver it to him. Yuji Kitami was delighted. With Mr. Qin's help, they had a greater chance of winning this alchemy conference. Father, let's prepare and go to the Elixir King Temple. Okay. After seeing Lin Yu and Yuji Kitami leave the guest hall, Bei Mobing put Bei Yunlei down. Father, why did you give the quota to that Qin guy? Bei Yunlei glared, his face full of anger. Right now, my Bei Ma clan is in need of people. Mr. Qin's alchemy skills are superb, and having Mr. Qin be Yu's helper couldn't be better. Bei Mobing said solemnly. She then turned to Bei Yunlei. Could it be that you have to participate? Your alchemy skills are not as good as your father's. Your father's alchemy skills were ranked last among the 4 great clans. Wouldn't it be a waste to leave the Pill King Temple's qualifications to you? Hearing this question, Bei Yunlei shrank back and didn't dare to make sound. He wanted to go to the alchemy grand meeting to show his face. He was very clear about his own alchemy Dao strength, and he couldn't help the Bei Ma clan at all. At the other side, after giving some instructions to Qin Yi and the others, Lin Yu followed Yuji Kitami and left the core area of the Bei Ma clan. Although the Pill King Temple was within the Bei Ma clan's territory, it was located at the edge of the Bei Ma clan. Lin Yu wanted to take care of Yuji Kitami's speed, so it took a full 2 hours for the 2 of them to reach the Pill King Temple. This is the Pill King Temple. Yuji Kitami looked at Lin Yu. In front of the 2 of them was an extremely magnificent temple. It was built with pieces of golden bricks, and it constantly emitted wisps of pill fragrance. Lin Yu nodded and looked at the entrance of the Pill King Temple. How should I go in later? How will the people in the Pill King Temple check if the people who come in are from the 4 great clans? On both sides of the entrance of the Pill King Temple stood 2 rows of guards. From their auras, Lin Yu could feel that they were all in the Myriad Soul Realm. Young Master Qin, you just need to give the drop of essence blood to the guards at the entrance, and you can go in. Yuji Kitami immediately answered Lin Yu's question and continued. These guards will collect the essence blood of the people who enter the Pill King Temple and screen them. Everyone from the 4 great clans only has 1 chance to enter the Pill King Temple. At this moment, a surprised voice came from the side. Miss Bei Ma. Lin Yu and Yuji Kitami turned their heads to look. After seeing the person, Yuji Kitami frowned and whispered to Lin Yu, "This is Dongwang Absolute Sage from the Dongwang family. He is also the representative of the Dongwang family in this alchemy meeting. His alchemy skills are not weak." Dongwang Absolute Sage came to Lin Yu with a few people behind him. Dongwang, absolute sage. Yuja Kitami looked indifferent. What a coincidence. May I know who this is? Dongwang, absolute sage, said with a smile, but a touch of coldness flashed in his eyes. Qin Wunyan. Facing Dongwang, absolute sage, Lin Yu smiled casually. Although the coldness in Dongwang, absolute sage's eyes only appeared for a short moment, it still could not escape Lin Yu's eyes. Moreover, from the expression of Dongwang, absolute sage, when he looked at Yuja Kitami, Lin Yu immediately understood the reason behind it. Miss Baima, I just got a 7th grade elixir recipe from the Elixir King Temple. If there is a chance, can we have an alchemy discussion? Dongwang, absolute sage, looked at Lin Yu with a proud face, showing off his harvest just now. He seemed to think that this would make Yuja Kitami think highly of him. Among the disciples of the 4 big families, most of the elixir recipes they brought out from the Elixir King Temple were 4th grade elixir recipes. Those who could bring out 5th grade or 6th grade elixir recipes could be said to be very talented in alchemy. Those who could get 7th grade elixir recipes from the Elixir King Temple were 1 in a million geniuses. There had never been anyone with a higher grade elixir recipe. No, we have other things to do. Don't disturb us. Yuji Kitami said lightly, not taking it to heart at all. Although 7th grade elixir recipes were precious, Yuji Kitami had already gotten a 7th grade elixir recipe herself. There was nothing to be proud of. Seeing that Yuji Kitami did not want to talk to him and walked towards the Elixir King Temple with Lin Yu, Dongwang, absolute sage's eyes revealed a trace of coldness. Miss Baima, the person you brought with you is not from the Baima family, is he? Only the people of the 4 big families can enter the Elixir King Temple. Why did you bring an outsider here? Dongwang, absolute sage, deliberately raised his voice to let the guards outside the Elixir King Temple notice the situation here. Hearing Dongwang, absolute sage's words, Yuji Kitami's pretty face was stunned, and then she reacted. Dongwang, absolute sage, obviously wanted to let the people of the Elixir King Temple notice them and disrupt their plan. In fact, using the essence and blood of others to bring in people who did not belong to the 4 big families was something that everyone was aware of. Even the guards of the Elixir King Temple turned a blind eye to it. However, this kind of thing was exposed in front of them. Even if they did not want to, they had to do something about it. Otherwise, if the higher-ups of the Elixir King Tower knew about this, they would definitely be held responsible. Miss Baima, please let the person beside you show the mark of the Baima family. The head guard said to Yuja Kitami solemnly. Every person of the 4 big families had a mark, which could be used to prove their identity. Lin Yu looked at everything in front of him expressionlessly. Obviously, under the interference of Dongwang, absolute sage, who only needed to show a drop of essence and blood to enter the Elixir King Temple. Now he had to check the mark. It seemed that this person did not want to live anymore. Lin Yu had already set the date of Dongwang, absolute sage's death in his heart. Before, Yuja Kitami said that he would participate in the alchemy conference. Then he would stay in the Elixir King forest forever. Chapter 871. Dongwang Paragon Sage looked at this scene with a cold smile. No one would be able to solve the current situation. Moreover, these guards all knew the guy with the surname Qin. In the future, he would not have the chance to enter the Elixir King Temple. However, a scene that shocked everyone happened. Under everyone's gaze, Yuja Kitami actually stretched out her arms and wrapped them around Lin Yu's neck. Then, she stood on her tiptoes and kissed him on the cheek. Qin Wunyan is my husband. It's just that my father hasn't announced it to the public yet. However, he is a member of the Baima family. Yuji Kitami's pretty face turned crimson. She pretended to be calm as she spoke to the guard. However, when she involuntarily held onto Lin Yu, her slightly trembling hands betrayed her. After feeling the softness on his face, Lin Yu was stunned at first. Then he smiled and said, "Isn't the son-in-law of the Baima family a member of the 4 great families?" Yes, yes. The guard was shocked and stuttered as he spoke. He had stayed at the entrance of the Elixir King Temple for so long, but he had never seen anyone prove their identity like this. Moreover, the person who did this was not an ordinary disciple of the Baimoff family, but the current young master of the Baimoff family. Yuji Kitami. Dongwon Paragon Sage's eyes were filled with anger when he saw this scene. He changed the way he addressed Yuji Kitami. When he tried to make things difficult for Linyu, he did not expect such a result. The woman he liked actually kissed another man in front of him. What a son-in-law! Do you know that a son-in-law who is not capable will be crushed by others? Dongwon Paragon Sage's face was distorted. In a flash, he attacked Linyu. He did not sense any aura from Linyu at all. He could deal with such a guy with one punch. How dare you? Seeing Dongwon Paragon Sage attack, Yuji Kitami's face turned cold. Those who knew Yuji Kitami knew that she was really angry. Yuji Kitami came in front of Linyu and raised her hand to block the attack of Dongwon Absolute Sage. Although Dongwon Absolute Sage was the supreme talent of the Dongwon family, he was also at the peak of the Myriad Soul Realm. However, in front of Yuji Kitami, who ranked third in the 8th sequence battle, he was still not strong enough. After only one move, Dongwon Absolute Sage was knocked back to his original position. When Dongwon Paragon saw that his attack had been easily neutralized by Yuji Kitami, his face turned even more ghastly. It wasn't just because he had seen Yuji Kitami's strength. More importantly, the reason why Yuji Kitami had attacked him. She was actually protecting another man. Qin Wunyan. Dongwon Jisheng's face darkened. He gritted his teeth and said, "Are you still a man? How could you hide behind a woman and ask her to stand up for you?" He knew that if he were to confront Yuji Kitami head-on, he would definitely be no match for her. That would embarrass himself and leave a bad impression on Yuji Kitami. Linyu didn't take Dongwon Absolute Sage's mockery to heart. This person was already a dead man in his heart. It was only a matter of time. Mr. Qin. Yuji Kitami didn't know what Linyu was thinking. She looked back worriedly and said, "Ignore him. Even if there were 10,000 of him, he wouldn't be able to beat you in terms of alchemy." Just as Yuji Kitami turned back, Dongwon Absolute Sage's lips curled into a cold smile. Dongwon Absolute Sage turned into a shadow and rushed toward Linyu. He had been waiting for this opportunity. He had finally caught him. After he killed this guy, Yuji Kitami would be his. Dongwon Absolute Sage was overjoyed. He attacked Linyu from the other side of Yuji Kitami's head. Mr. Qin. Yuji Kitami felt the momentum coming toward her. She quickly turned back, but found that it was too late to stop him. Her face instantly turned pale. Go to hell. Seeing that his fist was about to hit Linyu's head, Dongwon Absolute Sage shouted crazily, "Do you want to die?" Linyu's face was cold. He pointed at Dongwon Absolute Sage casually. In an instant, Dongwon Absolute Sage felt that his perception had slowed down. The everlasting night had arrived. The god of death passed through and suddenly enlarged in front of his eyes. No, impossible. He felt a chill down his spine. He knelt on the ground. 3 feet above his head, a black sickle was suspended, ready to fall at any time. Death was very close to him. Mr. Qin. Yuji Kitami's heart trembled. She only felt that Dongwon Absolute Sage would really die when the sickle fell. Fortunately, Linyu just wanted to scare him. Seeing that Dongwon Absolute Sage's legs were shaking and yellow liquid was flowing out, he did not bother to pay attention to him and disperse the god of death. For a moment, everyone came to their senses. Then, the scene of Linyu defeating Dongwon Absolute Sage with one move was imprinted in Yuji Kitami's eyes. Mr. Qin is so powerful. Yuji Kitami's heart was beating very fast. It was the first time that she had seen such an unfathomable man. She had thought that Mr. Qin was only good at alchemy. She did not expect him to be so powerful. Even she could not defeat Dongwon Absolute Sage with one move. Dongwon Absolute Sage was scared out of his wits. Under the backlash of his cultivation, he spat out a big mouthful of blood. He looked at Linyu in disbelief. What the hell? This guy looked like a toy boy without any cultivation. How could his combat capability be so strong? Can I go in now? Lin Yu did not bother to pay attention to Dong Wang, absolute sage, anymore. He faced the guard and asked calmly. Yes, yes. The guard answered repeatedly. He swallowed his saliva and was so shocked that he did not dare to speak for a long time. Mr. Qin. Yuji Kitami called out to Lin Yu. Yuji Kitami came to Lin Yu's side. She bent down and whispered into Lin Yu's ear with a slight blush. Got it. After a while, Lin Yu nodded and walked into the Elixir King Temple. What Beima Yuer had secretly told him was none other than the situation he would encounter after entering the Pill King Temple. According to Yuji Kitami, there were two things that could be seen after entering the Elixir King Temple. The Elixir King's life experience and his understanding of alchemy. The Elixir King's life experience was easy to understand. One could look at the Elixir King's great achievements from the beginning. The Elixir King's understanding of alchemy would enter an elixir furnace secret realm. The higher one's aptitude, the further one could go in the elixir furnace secret realm. At the end of the elixir furnace secret realm was a cold wall. As long as one could get close to the wall, one could get a grade 7 elixir recipe. Seeing Lin Yu's figure slowly disappear through the gate of the Elixir King Temple, Yuji Kitami's heart was filled with confidence. She had no doubt that Lin Yu could get a grade 7 elixir recipe or even higher. On the other side, Dong Wang, absolute sage, was also helped down by the people he brought. You are a bunch of trash. Dong Wang, absolute sage, could only vent his anger on those people. Those people all lowered their heads and did not dare to refute. The most powerful person among them had not reached the myriad souls realm. Even Dong Wang, absolute sage, could not take one move from that person. They would be courting death if they went up against him. I don't believe that he has the time to study alchemy when he is so powerful. Dong Wang, absolute sage, did not believe it. He sat near the Elixir King Temple and stared at the gate of the Elixir King Temple. Come on, help me change my pants. A group of people gathered outside the Elixir King Temple, waiting for Lin Yu to come out. Even the guards were curious about the elixir recipe he would bring out. Chapter 872. After Lin Yu entered the Elixir King Temple, what came into view was a row of neatly arranged stone tablets. The stone tablets exuded an ancient aura. Lin Yu went forward and looked at them one by one. He realized that the Elixir King's achievements were recorded on the tablets. Refined 333,000 pills and successfully stepped into the realm above the 9th grade, the Elixir King realm. In my lifetime, I helped 50 people step into the Spirit King realm, helped 800 people step into the Myriad Soul realm, helped 10,000 people step into the Four Symbols realm, countless people step into the Balanced realm. The achievements recorded on the tablets were extremely grand. However, Lin Yu recalled that the Elixir King was a disciple of the Great Solar Buddha. Then, how unfathomable was the Great Solar Buddha? Lin Yu's curiosity towards the Vairocana Buddha deepened. At this time, Lin Yu walked to the last stone tablet and saw the content engraved on it. My last regret is that I didn't refine the Peerless Emperor Pill. Consuming the Peerless Emperor Pill would allow a Spirit King realm expert to step into the Emperor realm without any hindrance. Furthermore, there are no side effects. What a pity. Peerless Emperor Pill. Lin Yu muttered softly. Then, he looked towards the center of the Elixir King Temple. There was a statue that was more than 10 meters tall. The statue was the Elixir King himself. Lin Yu recalled Yuji Kitami's reminder and sat down in front of the Elixir King statue. The Elixir Furnace Mystic Realm that Yuji Kitami mentioned could only be entered by comprehending this statue. Lin Yu had just closed his eyes when he realized that he was in an illusory orange flame. Clearly, he had entered the Elixir Furnace Mystic Realm in an instant. Lin Yu turned his head and scanned his surroundings. He realized that everything around him was filled with orange flames. Only the path in front of him could be moved forward. The Elixir Furnace Mystic Realm is indeed interesting. Lin Yu smiled faintly and walked forward calmly. Strange reflections constantly appeared on the road. These reflections were left behind by people who had entered the pill furnace mystic realm. In the pill furnace mystic realm, one would be able to leave their own reflections wherever they went. After walking for a long time, Lin Yu suddenly noticed the wall that Yuja Kitami mentioned. Is this really the end of the pill furnace mystic realm? Lin Yu narrowed his eyes and observed carefully. There were a few familiar figures near the wall. Nangong Tan, Yuja Kitami, Dongwang Jisheng. Those who were able to walk close to this wall were all alchemy geniuses who obtained 7th grade pill recipes. Because only those with extremely high aptitude in alchemy would be able to withstand the increasing pressure in the mystic realm and reach this place. However, until now, Lin Yu had not felt the so-called pressure. Passing through these reflections, Lin Yu arrived in front of the wall. As expected, the pill furnace mystic realm did not send me out. Therefore, this is definitely not the end of the mystic realm. There must be more precious pill recipes ahead. Lin Yu's lips curled up and a ray of light flashed across his eyes. According to Yuja Kitami, everyone who could not withstand the pressure in the mystic realm would be automatically sent out of the mystic realm. Previously, in the pill furnace mystic realm, a few people walked to this wall before they were sent out. They all thought that this wall was the end of the mystic realm. Lin Yu gently pressed his hand against the wall and instantly felt a bone-chilling coldness from his palm. This wall was like an ice wall. It looked extremely sturdy and did not look like it could be broken. Lin Yu raised his eyebrows and slowly raised his other hand. Behind Lin Yu, the shadow of an Azura was formed. He punched the wall with his fist. Boom! The tyrannical power directly penetrated the wall. Under Azura's attack, a hole the size of a person appeared on the wall. Looking at the scene on the other side of the wall, Lin Yu smiled slightly. Previously, he felt that it was a little strange. The Pill King was a 9th grade alchemist and above. But in the mystic realm that he left behind, the most precious thing that the 4 great clans' disciples obtained was only a 7th grade pill recipe. This did not make sense at all. Therefore, he noticed the wall that Yuja Kitami mentioned. At that time, he guessed that this wall was not the end of the pill furnace mystic realm. He guessed it right. Lin Yu looked over the wall and found that on the other side of the wall, there were layers of blue water patterns. These blue water patterns emitted a bone-chilling coldness, combined with the orange flames that Lin Yu saw on his way here. Lin Yu immediately had an answer in his heart. This pill furnace mystic realm clearly used the 2 attributes of yin and yang to form a yin-yang realm. And that wall was the boundary that maintained the balance between yin and yang, using the 2 attributes of yin and yang to achieve a wonderful balance. Good method, worthy of the Pill King. Lin Yu's eyes flashed with a ray of light. He had already seen through the essence of this so-called pill furnace mystic realm. The yin-yang array placed in the pill furnace mystic realm was to create an excellent environment for alchemy. And the entire mystic realm was just a pill furnace. Maybe because of the Pill King's death, although the pill furnace mystic realm could still be entered, the yin-yang array had long stopped operating. Therefore, this yin-yang realm was so peaceful. Lin Yu could imagine how grand the scene would be when the Dan King used this place to refine pills in the past. Suddenly, Lin Yu noticed that on the wall that he had just broken, there were light spots floating out. When those light spots came into contact with Lin Yu's body, they disappeared without a trace. And in Lin Yu's mind, there was a mysterious thing. Pill King's inheritance. Lin Yu's expression was a little strange. Although he guessed that the most valuable thing in this pill furnace mystic realm was definitely not the 7th grade pill manual. But he did not expect that the reward after breaking the wall would be the Pill King's inheritance. This was the inheritance of an alchemist above the 9th grade. If it was placed in the primitive continent, who knew how many people would go crazy for it? Lin Yu did not move at all, but the Pill King's inheritance seemed to have waited for thousands of years. At this moment, it sensed Lin Yu's appearance and came to check on him. After scanning Lin Yu for a round, it actually began to transform into endless Tao and poured into Lin Yu's mind. This pill Dao inheritance really came running over by itself. Lin Yu was helpless and could only close his eyes and begin to comprehend. 2 hours. 4 hours. After he finished comprehending, he opened his eyes. This pill king's inheritance is not complete. What appeared in his mind was only half of the pill king's inheritance, and the other part, according to the inheritance's records, was placed in the pill king pagoda. Now I have another reason to go to the pill king pagoda. Lin Yu smiled faintly. Although the pill king's inheritance that appeared in his mind was only a part, it still contained a huge amount of information. To fully comprehend this information, it would take at least a few days. But there was another convenient way, which was to use alchemy to assist in comprehending this inheritance. Chapter 873. The Alchemy King's Inheritance naturally tested one's alchemy skills. The higher the grade of the medicinal pill refined, the shorter the time needed to comprehend the inheritance. Lin Yu casually took out a set of ingredients and placed it in the air. He urged the flames to envelop it and started smelting. At the same time, he closed his eyes and calmed his heart to comprehend the inheritance in his mind. If there were other alchemists here, they would definitely prostrate themselves in admiration from Lin Yu's actions. To an alchemist, whether or not the pill refinement could succeed, the most important thing was the control of the medicinal pill. But not only did Lin Yu close his eyes, he even placed most of his attention on other places. Could he still refine the medicinal pill like this? But those medicinal ingredients in front of Lin Yu were under his control. After going through the smelting of the flames, they actually started to slowly condense into shape. Various medicinal ingredients gradually condensed into a round medicinal pill. It even continuously emitted a strong medicinal fragrance. This was an 8th grade pill. Pill formed. After Lin Yu kept this medicinal pill, he did not even open his eyes and took out another set of ingredients. But this set of ingredients, compared to the previous set of ingredients, there were many more types of medicinal ingredients. Among them, there were some extremely precious medicinal ingredients. Every single one of them would attract countless alchemists to fight for them in the outside world. Lin Yu used the same method to control the flames to envelop those medicinal ingredients and started smelting. But this time, the speed of the medicinal pill's condensation was clearly much slower than before. Lin Yu did not feel anxious. On the contrary, he had already placed most of his attention on comprehending the inheritance. As long as he comprehended the inheritance thoroughly, the medicinal pill on the other side would naturally be refined. At that time, he would also step into a brand new realm. 70%, 80%, 90%. As the medicinal pill in front of Lin Yu gradually solidified, the inheritance's information in his mind was also rapidly absorbed by him. Suddenly, Lin Yu smiled faintly and slowly opened his eyes. The medicinal ingredients that had not been completely refined in the flames instantly solidified into shape. They condensed into a medicinal pill that was suffused with golden light. The moment Lin Yu opened his eyes, he had already grasped all the contents of the inheritance. Because of this, he was able to easily complete the final step of this 9th grade Dan. This also meant that he had stepped into a new realm. If it was before he comprehended the Elixir King's inheritance, he would definitely not be able to do this. 9th grade pill master, half-step pill king, Lin Yu muttered to himself. He had already become a 9th grade alchemist and was only a step away from the legendary pill king. And what he had just obtained from the inheritance was a pill king's manual. The Pill King's encyclopedia recorded all the pills and recipes that the Pill King had seen in his life. Just like the 7th grade pill recipe that Yuja Kidami obtained from the Pill King Temple, the recipe for the reverse marrow reincarnation pill. It was also recorded in the Pill King's encyclopedia. Furthermore, there were many 7th grade and above pill recipes that were also recorded in this treasure book. One could imagine how precious this grimoire was. Lin Yu suddenly realized that he had already returned to the Pill King Temple and was sitting cross-legged in front of the Pill King statue. It turned out that when he opened his eyes, he had already been transported out of the Pill Furnace secret realm. At the same time, outside the Pill King Temple, a dazzling pill light shot up into the sky from the Pill King Temple. The territories of the 4 great clans were not far from here. The experts in the clans also noticed the change in the sky above the Pill King Temple and released their divine senses to spy on it. The Pill King Temple and the Pill King Pagoda were independent forces that controlled the flow of many pills. The experts of the 4 great clans did not dare to barge in recklessly and could only investigate from afar. However, other than the pill light, their spiritual wills did not sense anything out of the ordinary. It was as if the pill light had appeared out of thin air. After Lin Yu walked out of the Pill King Temple, he also noticed the pill light that pierced through the sky outside. He knew that this pill light should be a change caused by him obtaining the Pill King's inheritance, so he was not surprised. Young Master Qin. Seeing Lin Yu come out, Yuji Kitami hurried to his side. When she saw the change in the Pill King Temple, she was worried that Lin Yu might be in danger or trapped inside. Now that she saw Lin Yu appear, she was finally relieved. Young Master Qin, what kind of elixir recipe did you get? Yuji Kitami asked excitedly. Let's talk about it after we leave. Lin Yu smiled faintly and did not answer her question. Yuji Kitami saw this and followed Lin Yu obediently. The two of them walked in the direction they came from. At this moment, those who were guarding outside the Pill King Temple were very flustered because of the sudden change, and no one cared about what grade of elixir recipe Lin Yu got. The only one who stared at Lin Yu was Dongwang Jisheng. Dongwang Jisheng looked at Lin Yu and Yuji Kitami angrily as they left. He suddenly noticed that Lin Yu slipped out an elixir from his pocket when he left. Except for him, no one else noticed it. When Dongwang Jisheng saw that the elixir was full of rich elixir essence, he could not help but feel shocked. Even a 7th grade elixir did not have such rich elixir essence. What was the quality of this elixir? Since no one saw it, it's mine. Dongwang Jisheng was delighted and quickly ran over to pick it up. Lin Yu had previously caused him to suffer such a huge loss, and had even caused him to lose face in front of Beima Yuer. He would gladly accept this precious medicinal pill. Idiot Qin Wunyan. How could he lose such a valuable elixir? Dongwang Jisheng thought and reached out to the elixir. Suddenly, a strong force gathered in the elixir. Before Dongwang Jisheng could figure out the situation, the elixir directly exploded. Boom! Dongwang Jisheng, who was already injured, had no time to resist the impact and was sent flying dozens of meters away. Master! Hearing the loud roar, the people of the Dongwang family all ran towards him. They all had the same thought at the same time. Next time, no matter what, I won't accompany Dongwang Jisheng out. This guy is really good at causing trouble. Looking at Dongwang Jisheng, who was seriously injured, they were speechless. On the other side, after Lin Yu returned to the room that the Beima family had arranged for him, Lin Yu stabilized the things that he had obtained from the Elixir King's inheritance and sorted out the elixir recipes in the Elixir King's book. Time flew by, and the alchemy meeting finally began. Early in the morning, the Beima family was ready. Bei Mobing personally arranged the departure and took Lin Yu and Yuji Kitami to attend the alchemy meeting. It could be said that Bei Mobing attached great importance to this alchemy meeting. Along the way, he told Lin Yu a lot about the situation in the Elixir King's forest, such as the approximate distribution of some of the herbs needed to refine the inverse marrow reincarnation elixir. Lin Yu also nodded in agreement, although Yuji Kitami had already told him this information. But after all, this was a token of his kindness, so Lin Yu accepted it. Chapter 874. The Alchemy Conference was held at the Alchemy King Tower. The Alchemy King Tower was also the border of the 4 great clans. By the time Lin Yu and the others arrived, there were already many participants and people from their respective factions gathered there. Standing at the front is the Nangong clan leader, Nangong Zhan, and the deputy clan leader, Nangong Qintian. You've seen Nangong Tian behind them before. Over there is the Shi Ming clan leader, Shi Ming Kuei, and their generation's prodigy, Shi Ming Chioye. Yuja Kitami introduced the people near the Alchemy King Tower to Lin Yu. And over there are people from the Dongshan Dao region, the Hao Tian Emperor, Daoist Ling Bao, and Daoist Grand Supreme. Yuja Kitami looked a little angry when she mentioned Daoist Grand Supreme. She had not forgotten how Daoist Grand Supreme had blocked her path. Yuja Kitami had decided that she would teach Daoist Grand Supreme a painful lesson if she had the chance after entering the Alchemy King Forest. When Lin Yu approached the people from the Dongshan Dao region, he suddenly heard the system's voice. Eternal Host, Lin Yu, an undefeatable enemy has been detected. Automatic time reversal has been activated. Space-time value, 870109892. Lin Yu knew that this notification was sent by the Hao Tian Emperor. After all, he was ranked 5th on the Heaven God list. If there were no surprises, the Supreme Sky Emperor should be the strongest among all the people present. The space-time value was not the real space-time value, but the password to the gathering place of the low-profile sect Sanuses. On the other side, Bei Mobing brought Lin Yu and Yuja Kitami to Nangong Zhan's side and greeted him with cupped fists. Clan Leader Nangong. Clan Leader Bei Mobing is here too. This is? Nangong Zhan replied with a smile. When he noticed Lin Yu standing behind Bei Mobing, a hint of hesitation flashed across his eyes. This young man, without any cultivation, was actually brought here by Bei Mobing to participate in the Grand Alchemy meeting. Could it be that he was a high-grade alchemist? However, Nangong Zhan searched his mind and did not find any high-level alchemist in the primitive continent that could match it. This is Mr. Qin, the guardian I found for you. I am Qin Wunyan. Lin Yu smiled faintly. Even Nangong Zhan was unable to see through his true identity. It seemed that his disguise was indeed very good. Nangong Zhan was slightly taken aback. Then he looked at Bei Mobing. Miss Bei Mo. Just as Bei Mobing and Nangong Zhan started chatting, Nangong Tian walked over and greeted them. Since Sir Qin is here, you must be Miss Bei Mo's Dao protector. Yuja Kitami nodded and looked towards Nangong Tian. Standing beside Nangong Tian was a cold-looking young man. Even though everyone was looking at him, he had no intention of speaking. In the end, Nangong Tian introduced, "This is Nangong Tu beside me. He is also my guardian for this grand alchemy meeting." At this moment, a voice was heard from the side. Nangong Tian, I heard that your Nangong family was defeated by Lin Yu from the beginning to the end. Even your clan leader was no match for him. Is that true? Lin Yu looked over and realized that the person was Shi Ming Chioye, whom he had been introduced to previously. Shi Ming Chioye and another young man walked towards them with a smile. They stared at Nangong Tian with a mocking look. Although he was also a genius of this generation of the Shi Ming family, he was still inferior to Nangong Tian. He was happy for a while when he found out that Nangong Tian had lost all his cultivation. However, he did not expect Nangong Tian to have recovered after a few days. Nangong Tian turned around and looked at him coldly. Lin Yu only won by opportunistic means. It's not worth mentioning. You, on the other hand, still dared to provoke me. You. Shi Ming Chioye's face turned pale when he heard that. Nangong Tian was right. He had challenged Nangong Tian more than 10 times over the years, but he had never won. Oomph. Shi Ming Chioye snorted and left with his men. However, his words caused a commotion among the people nearby. I heard that Nangong Tian's cultivation was destroyed by the guy who ranked first in the sequence battle. Why does he look fine now? That's what you don't understand. Nangong Tian is the genius of this generation of the Nangong family. He must have used some treasure to recover his cultivation. How powerful is Lin Yu to be able to barge into the Nangong family alone? These people were all from the 4 families and 5 regions. They were not afraid of the Nangong family, so they started chatting with each other. Let's talk later. Nangong Tian looked a little embarrassed. He hurried back after saying that. Mr. Qin, didn't you say that you met Lin Yu once? Yuja Kitami looked very curious. Is he really that powerful? He barged into the Nangong family alone and escaped unscathed. Of course. He's a dragon among men and the most handsome person I've ever seen. I'm not surprised that he could defeat Nangong Tian, Lin Yu said with a serious face. If even young Master Qin says so, then it should be true. A hint of surprise flashed through Bei Mayuer's eyes. A person of the same generation as them was actually so strong. It was terrifying. Qin Wunyan. At this moment, an angry voice was heard. You stupid son-in-law. How dare you plot to injure me? Do you want me, Donghuang Paragon Saint, to be unable to attend the alchemy conference? I couldn't find you anywhere. It turns out that you dare to come here. Donghuang Paragon Saint walked towards Lin Yu fiercely. The people of the Donghuang family behind him also looked unfriendly. The elixir that Lin Yu threw at Donghuang Paragon Saint earlier had seriously injured him. Although the Donghuang family had used a lot of elixirs on him, he had only recovered by less than 50%. The words son-in-law immediately attracted the attention of the surrounding people. Donghuang Paragon Saint's face was pale. It was obvious that he had not recovered from his injuries. Immediately, many people turned to look in their direction. Even Nangong Tian and Bei Mobing, who were talking, looked over. Son-in-law, not only is this guy Yuja Kitami's protector, but he's also her husband? Damn it, Yuja Kitami is such a beauty. There are countless young talents pursuing her. Why would she choose a piece of trash with no cultivation? What do you know? Women value skills. What's the use of having a high cultivation? Bei Mobing was stunned. He was dumbfounded at this moment. Originally, he wanted to use Lin Yu to help his family get a good ranking in the alchemy conference. Now, before he could get a good ranking, he had lost his precious daughter. Father, that's a misunderstanding. Yuja Kitami did not know how to explain. Forget it. Now was not the time to talk about this. Bei Mobing sighed. He could tell from his daughter's tone that she treated him as an outsider. Indeed, a grown girl could not be kept at home. Donghuang Paragon Saint, why did you frame Mr. Qin? He was already merciful that day. He did not injure you at all. Donghuang Paragon Saint had pushed Lin Yu into the teeth of the storm. Yuja Kitami stood out and said coldly. Yuja Kitami did not know that Lin Yu had deliberately dropped the elixir. She thought that Donghuang Paragon Saint wanted to frame him for the first time when he was defeated by Lin Yu. Seeing that Yuja Kitami was once again confronting him because of Lin Yu, Donghuang Paragon Saint felt the fire of jealousy in his heart burning fiercely. Then could it be that my injuries were caused by myself? Yuja Kitami, today your husband must give me an explanation. Otherwise, the Donghuang family will not let you off. Hearing that she directly called Lin Yu her husband. Yuja Kitami was an unmarried girl after all. She could not help but blush and was speechless for a moment. Seeing this, Lin Yu pulled Yuja Kitami behind him and smiled faintly. You said that I schemed to injure you seriously. Do you have any evidence? Evidence. Donghuang Paragon Saint was slightly stunned and then said angrily, Of course. An elixir fell out of your pocket. Who knew that the elixir would explode? I was seriously injured because I touched the elixir. Isn't that evidence? Lin Yu looked very calm, without a trace of emotion. That is to say, you were injured because you touched the elixir I dropped, right? Seeing Lin Yu's calm look, Donghuang Paragon Saint became even angrier. Yes. Chapter 875. Are you going to blame me if I put a sword on the ground and you run into it and get stabbed to death? Lin Yu retorted. Donghuang Jisheng was speechless when he heard Lin Yu's words. Moreover, Donghuang Jisheng saw a hint of sarcasm in Lin Yu's eyes, which made his face turn even uglier. The onlookers also understood what had happened and cast disdainful glances at Donghuang Jisheng. It was rare to see someone who could do such a stupid thing. Well. When we enter the Elixir King Forest, just wait and see. Donghuang Jisheng could only leave these harsh words and then left with the other members of the Donghuang family. Those members of the Donghuang family were also very embarrassed. They were worried that if they did not take Donghuang Jisheng away, he would continue to humiliate the Donghuang family. Dong, dong, dong. At this time, the sound of a distant bell rang from the Pill King Pagoda. It attracted everyone's attention, and they looked up. A light screen appeared in the air in front of the Elixir King Tower. On the light screen was a dense forest. That is the Elixir King Forest. Yuji Kitami stood beside Lin Yu and whispered, "Okay." Lin Yu nodded. Seeing the Elixir King Forest, all the competitors in this grand alchemy meeting walked out from the crowd. When the bell rang and the light screen appeared, it meant that they could enter the Elixir King Forest. The first round of the grand alchemy meeting was about to begin. The entrance is open. I won't stand on ceremony. A loud laugh was heard, and then two Taoists were seen running toward the light screen. They were Taoist Taisheng and Taoist Lingbao. The moment the two figures touched the light curtain, they passed through it and appeared in the forest. The competitors of the other forces did not want to be outdone. They used various means to fly into the air and enter the light screen. Lin Yu nodded at Bei Mobing, who was looking at them. "Let's go." "All right." Lin Yu and Yuji Kitami also flew in front of the light curtain and passed through it without any hindrance. Lin Yu did not feel anything strange, and his whole person had already arrived in the Pill King Forest. At this moment, all the contestants had already scattered in all directions in search of the medicinal herbs they needed. Lin Yu and Bei Mayu are headed south, according to the information of the medicinal herbs they had obtained before. Fortunately, most of the herbs needed to refine the reverse marrow reincarnation pill were in the southern part of the Pill King Forest. Therefore, the route that the two of them needed to take was not too complicated. As the two of them were flying, Bei Mayu suddenly let out a stern shout. "Who is it?" Two figures slowly walked out from behind a giant tree. Nangong Tian was walking in front. Nangong Tian. Yuji Kitami looked over with a wary expression. Nangong Tian was definitely more powerful than her, and Yuji Kitami was very clear about that. Although she heard that Nangong Tian's cultivation level was crippled and he had regained his cultivation level, Yuji Kitami was not 100% confident that she could defeat him. Moreover, Nangong too did not look like someone to be trifled with. "Miss Bei Mobing, don't be so nervous. I don't mean any harm to you." Nangong Tian crossed his arms and said with a smile, "I'm here to form an alliance with you." Lin Yu stood at the side and did not say anything. He only came to the Grand Alchemy Conference to reap some benefits, mainly to meet the Great Sun Boundless Buddha. As for the matters between the four families, he would leave it to Yuji Kitami to handle. It did not matter to him whether they formed an alliance or not. "Alliance?" Yuji Kitami said coldly and shook her head. "Thank you for your kind intentions, Mr. Nangong, but the pills that we refine are different, so it's more convenient for us to search for the medicinal herbs separately. If they formed an alliance with the Nangong family, they would have an advantage in terms of combat power. However, after forming an alliance, the speed of searching for medicinal herbs would undoubtedly decrease. I know what you're worried about, Miss Bei Mobing. Although we have formed an alliance, we can act separately and only gather when we encounter enemies." Yuji Kitami's reaction was within Nangong Tian's expectations, so he had already thought of an answer. Nangong Tian continued, "From what I know, Shi Ming Qiuye and Donghuang Paragon Sage have also formed an alliance. Think about it carefully." Hearing this news, Bei Mayu's expression finally changed a little. "They have formed an alliance." Yuji Kitami frowned. "All right, then let's form an alliance too." Yuji Kitami knew that if all the forces acted alone, there was no need for them to form an alliance. Even if they encountered other forces, they could still run away if they could not defeat them. However, now that they had formed an alliance, once there was a conflict, they might face more than two enemies. Seeing that Yuji Kitami agreed, Nangong Tian smiled and threw a jade talisman at her. "Take this with you. If you encounter enemies, use this to contact me. I'll do the same." After saying that, Nangong Tian and Nangong Tu left quickly. "Mr. Qin." Yuji Kitami held the jade talisman in her hand and turned around to ask, "Will there be any problems with forming an alliance with the Nangong family?" Lin Yu smiled faintly. "We'll act according to the situation." There was something else that Lin Yu did not say. Even if Nangong Tian was planning something bad, it was nothing to him. Nangong Yu heaved a sigh of relief and the two of them continued to fly towards the south. Not long after, the two of them arrived at the place where the first medicinal herb grew. The first one we need to find is the luminous grass. It grows nearby, so it should be easy to find. Nangong Yuer looked around, but unfortunately, she did not find any trace of the luminous grass. The luminous grass was a relatively common medicinal herb that was needed to refine many types of elixirs. From its name, one could tell that this medicinal herb would emit a blue fluorescent light at night. It was very eye-catching. Unfortunately, it was still daytime, so it was impossible to find the luminous grass by relying on this trick. However, Nangong was not worried. Since it was not a rare medicinal herb, she would definitely find it if she put her heart into it. The two of them split up. Not long after, Lin Yu found a blue grass in front of him. "It's here," Lin Yu called Yuja Kitami, who was still searching at the side, over. "Mr. Chin, you're in luck." Yuja Kitami's eyes lit up, and she went forward to keep the luminous grass. The amount of luminous grass needed to refine the reverse chakra marrow pill was not large, so one stalk was enough. The next one is the hook fruit. We still have to head towards the south. Nangong Yuer had already divided the distribution of the medicinal herbs into a route. Following this planned route, they could collect all the medicinal herbs in the shortest time possible. Okay, the two of them immediately moved and continued to fly towards the south. After 2 hours, the two of them had collected most of the medicinal herbs needed to refine the reverse chakra marrow pill. There was still a long time before the end of the first stage of the Grand Alchemy Conference. It was enough for the two of them to find the remaining medicinal herbs one by one. The next one we need to find is the gray shadow flower. This is quite rare, so it should take some time. Yuji Kitami was introducing the next medicinal herb when the Jade Talisman suddenly sensed something. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.